Good evening and welcome to Livid Comics Lair, episode number 3. We're delighted tonight to have our special guest, Rusty Gilligan, who is a man of many, many talents, guys, and you're going to find out tonight all about that. He's done everything from comic books to wrestling to voice acting. He's been doing it as long as I've been alive, so if you look up his bio, that'll tell you how old I am. So quite a lot of things going on here. So we're really excited to get into this tonight. Rusty's a wealth of knowledge, so we're going to roll our intro, and then we're going to welcome Rusty to the show. Boom, and we are live. Let me get everybody on screen here. There we go. What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
That's cool, yeah.
How are you guys?
Doing well, man.
Good.
I feel bad for Ruggiero here. He's become a third co-host, and he's not in the intro yet. So
I know, I got to fix that. It's just hours in the day.
he was our first ever guest. He was promoting Heel Turn, and then it just the chemistry was undeniable. We had to keep it going. So
I when the intro started, I thought it said Comics Liar instead of Comics Lair. So I'm like,
You know, that might be a mix in every now and again. I'm going to do
it's
that.
like, geez, they found me out.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on, Rusty. Last minute edition here. We were supposed to have Joe Bennett tonight, if you guys are tuning in, and he just had something come up, right? I mean, life happens, right? We roll with the punches here. There's a real world outside of comics, unfortunately, that we all have to deal with. So we're going to work on getting him back up here in August. So still on the radar.
He'll be here in the first week in Augest.
Perfect.
Saturday.
All right, there you go.
Any day you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So the hitman I hired worked. That's good.
Yeah.
more screen time. That's 2 days in a row here. You're just capping off guests on different shows. So
Yep.
Yes, I'm a social butterfly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Rusty's got a project going on. Why don't we? I guess we'll just crack right into it, right? The Earth Trembles, right? Dinosaur card set.
Yeah.
Let's get right up into that.
Usually my studio does comics. I've been doing comics for a very long time. But one of my loves is I love trading cards. When I was a kid, I got into baseball cards. And then when I got older, I started working for larger companies. Clubhouse Diamonds did adult cards. I designed cards for Topps, Upper Deck, Fleer, Donruss. I worked on the Playboy and the Penthouse trading card sets. Betty Page sets, a couple of them, some famous artist sets. So I really enjoy the media. It's kind of like being a stamp collector or a bottle cap collector,
Sure.
you know, something along those lines. And I put out sets over the years. And in the past, let's say 4 years, I've been putting out stronger sets. And people have been really picking them up. And I've been, I'm happy with that. John and I were talking last night. I really enjoy putting the sets together, and I try to make them so that they're affordable, but they fit into the mold for the collector and the retailer. So a lot of times people have a set and they create special prices and they do certain things for, the market. And then you got the larger ones. Topps has like an 800 card baseball card set and on and on and on. These are sets that grow with the goals. So as a goal comes about, I'll add 3 more cards. So whatever the original purchase price was, I'll give you an example, which will kill a lot of my talking here. Somebody comes in and they're like maybe the third contributor. So they spend $10 for a card set. That's just off the top of my head. So after hundreds and hundreds of dollars come in and whatever, the goals are passing. So the original 9-card set that they paid $10 for is now like a 36-card set, and they're still paying the $10.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love this set, man. I love this. I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, keep going. This is great.
A little bit about the set is it's basically a very unusual set. Most people will do one of two things. They'll either include like fossils and drawings, museum pieces, dinosaur skeletons, etc., or they'll get artists to draw the dinosaurs, which is both great. I won't knock anybody's sets. Upper Deck, Bragent, a number of others have done dinosaur sets. I've worked on a few, and they're great. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? But the thing is that we decided to go a step further. We're getting photos of actual dinosaur exhibits from around the world. So if you scroll down on the campaign a little bit, you can see what the cards look like. They literally look like actual dinosaurs in the cards.
Yeah, I was wondering how you did that. I didn't know if it was like 3D rendering or so, but yeah, they look like you.
Those are real pictures from places like Spain, China, Afghanistan, Iran, all over the U.S. They're basically real life exhibits.
Almost reminds me of like a James Gurney Dinotopia kind of feel, right? So.
The one that's under the word card is actually from China. I don't remember where the other one is from, but is actually from China, and they have a freestanding dinosaur park. So let's say it's kind of like, it's not like a Disneyland where it's based on rides. This is more like a Universal Studios where it's based on exhibits where there's rides.
That's
so
awesome.
you pay to get in the park. You walk around. There's dinosaurs everywhere, in strong poses, and obviously, they have beautiful artists.
Yeah,
so
they do.
these are rendered extremely well. Asian artists are very detailed when it comes to things like 3D modeling, sculptures, and exhibits like this. One of the other ones that we have from Spain is a pterodactyl that's on a wire system, and it actually flies and swoops down on people as they're walking by.
That's awesome.
And they have, that's what basically what it's about. Is I wanted these to look less like art and less like going to a museum, and more like, holy crap, that's a dinosaur, So, but that's that part of it, and then underneath that is the relic cards. That's kind of like a twofold thing. Let's say you go and you buy like baseball cards. Everybody basically gets the same cards. Like, in other words, you go and you buy the cards, you collect the whole set. It's 800. John does it. It's 800 cards. We all have the same 800 card set that we collect. But this card is actually different from all the other cards, making each set unique. So 100 of the cards actually has a fossil attached to it, and the other cards in the set, the rest of them, have dinosaur stamps and fossil stamps from around the world. So people actually are getting a relic on their relic cards. Some cards will actually have a fossil and a stamp, or two stamps, making the cards unique. So let's say the four of us in the channel here each get a card set. Well, one of you might get the megalodon tooth. One of you might get the stamp, let's say from Romania. I might get a stamp and a megalodon tooth. Maybe my stamp is from, Brazil. And maybe somebody gets two megalodon teeth on theirs. It's all unique. And instead of it being an insert card, where it's like numbered off of the 800 cards, this is actually numbered as part of the set. So when someone gets it, this is their number 9 card. It's not like the extra card or the insert card in the set. So everyone gets this in their set.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then we have that. Then we have the sketch cards. Artists from all over the world drew these sketch cards where the dinosaur actually bites back at you the way the design is. And there's some of them on the screen.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's awesome.
I cut you off. I'm sorry. I think I have a 1 second delay, so pardon me.
No, that's okay. I know. Yeah, we battle with technology, right, in the world we're in these days, but it's not so bad. Yeah, I was just going to say that my son's 4 years old and he lives and breathes dinosaurs, so I'm all about this set, and I'm going to be getting this set from you. So this is fabulous. Yeah,
well, we have some special stuff in the rewards. I always tell people, if you have kids, these are nice cards. You're going to get an original piece of art and the relic. All of the original contributors are getting toys, dinosaur toys, with their orders. There's original sketch covers, which are, comic book covers. Also, there's stickers that children can color, and there's hologram stickers that go with it. And people can buy a card in the set and actually appear on the card. They'll get, there'll be 500 cards. They'll get 400 cards that they could do whatever they want with, and 100 cards will randomly be inserted into the rest of the sets.
Angelo DeLeon says, "Hey guys, what's up, Angelo?"
Hey, hi, Angelo.
Angelo's a good longtime friend of mine. He's a painter and artist down outside Jacksonville, Florida, and he's a tremendous talent. And the guy turns out work like a machine.
Oh,
So,
I'd love to see.
yeah, he does some awesome. It looks like 50s, 60s, like sci-fi pulp kind of stuff, and it's badass. It's very, very cool.
Some of my favorite stuff, for real. I'm very much into retro. Our last set was all pulp magazine covers from the turn of the century to about the 1950s. And the set before that was the original Wizard of Oz books from the 1910s, 1920s, all before the original Wizard of Oz movie. So all of the sets that I do, I try to do something retro with a spin,
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that pulp stuff, man. I put up posts like every now that you're connected with me online. I put up like a pulp cover every morning, noon, and night. I'm putting up some type of pulp cover on my page, so I love it. Yeah.
If you remind me, I'll see if I can find one. Like I was telling John last night, I'm not a warehouse and I'm not a card store. When these campaigns are over with, I take all unbought stuff, I throw them randomly in envelopes, I send it all flush it right to the wall, done. I walk to the next set or walk to the next book, and that's it. I don't warehouse anything. So
yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, it keeps the rarity. When we say 500 sets, we mean 500 sets. And if we have less, we just dump them all on somebody to sell, and it's their ball game. It's not ours, and we walk away.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people hold on to things. It's good to do with comics, but when it comes to collectibles, special items, trading cards, things like that, Pogs, believe it or not, people still collect those, Funko Pops, whatever. Honestly, I just feel like people, they shouldn't be print on demand and always available.
Right.
Rare is what the market was built on.
Absolutely.
You want to find a Fantastic Four #1. You want to find a McFarlane Spider-Man cover. You want to find, one of those, what's that dumb book, Do You Poo or whatever it is. All that stuff. Rarity is it. And then if it's done, it's gone. You want to find one? Go on eBay.
Yep.
I'm not here to supply. And I think it's fair to the market, because how rare would it be if I said 500 sets and printed 10,000?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what is your thought on like the 1-of-1 that baseball cards are doing right now? That seems to be a very prevalent thing, doing like the 1-of-1 cards.
I think that's fine too, because first of all, this set that I've got has 1-of-1. Every dinosaur tooth is exclusive. The stamps are exclusive. The sketch cards are exclusive too, because you might get my card that I drew. You might get Jay Moore's card. You might get Bianca Thompson's card, or any one of the 50 artists that are involved. Also, with the books that are there, someone bought mine. That's a 1-of-1 sketch cover. Terry Pavlitz's cover is there, the RPG artist. So, I approve of that. I think it's great. When people say 1-of-1, I don't think that they quite understand that that's the only one that there is. And when you're in a contest, there's only one winner. When you go fishing, that's the only, that fish is yours. You don't share it with every other fisherman on the beach. So I think it's fair. I really do. When I was a kid, we used to do the bubble gum thing. You put a penny in the machine and a bubble gum would come out. And if you got the red one, you brought it up to the counter and they'd give you like a free Coke.
Right.
There's only one in the machine.
That's
You
it.
know, obviously it was a gimmick to get your pennies in there, but you know what? One kid got it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I kind of dig it. Like we're doing that with our campaign. We did what's called the golden ticket, where we did
Yeah.
5 original pieces of art, and they're
John-
randomly
John
inserted.
was telling me you guys had a great campaign yesterday. I really enjoyed the video, and I really liked the look of the book. You guys did a great job.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I have to tell you, I was very impressed. I really was.
Yeah, it was our first book, so we did what we could do, right? We did okay, I think. So felt pretty good.
About the one of one thing. Sometimes it's also good to do like limited to 10 or limited to 20, and you have to make the item expensive but affordable. For example, in the like the screen you're showing now, the second item down, that's a wooden card. It was laser etched. There's only 10 of them. There hasn't been a wooden card ever in the market, a laser etched card. There's only 10 of them. They're laser etched, they're hand painted, they're signed by the artist and the laser operator on the back, and they're numbered 1 to 10. But every one of them is unique because they're all hand painted. So, even though they're one of 10 cards, the art is unique. So one person.
That reminds me, I got to add that to my. I backed this morning actually, but I got one of those.
Yeah, I saw that, and I do appreciate it too, because the more that anybody contributes, in my opinion, I like invests better, but the more that anyone contributes to a campaign, it helps the cooperative as a whole, because one of the goals is the higher it goes, more cards get added. So this guy 2 months ago, let's say, who put his nickels in, is going for a 9-card set. The last guy might tip it over the edge, and it might turn into a 36-card set. That's what happened with our Wizard of Oz card set. So, that's a great thing. And we don't upgrade the price because it's what campaigns are like.
Right.
You set up for $20, it's $20.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Angelo says nothing is better than comics. I'd rather have comics in my collection, and I can't wait for my Yule comic to get it graded as soon as I get it. So thanks, Angelo.
I agree about the comics. I've been doing comics since the 70s, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's his era too. So we talk offline a lot about comics, and he loves that age. He's a big fan of that. He can tell us what ones he likes, but. Oh yeah, so we talk offline about that a lot too, and I'm a baseball card guy on top of a comic book guy, so that's kind of my background too. So I don't do other sports, just baseball.
It's a good the way that they started doing trading cards years ago. Like I said, I used to work for Upper Deck, and it used to be in the beginning when trading cards were first getting into in the hands of collectors, they were cigarette cards. They were tiny cards. They were packaged with the cigarettes. So you'd rip them open, you'd get the card with your your cigarettes. And Hannes Wagner, one of the first players on the cards, said he did not want to be affiliated with kids because of the tobacco angle. He wanted to do something else, so that's why his card was pulled, and it's really the most expensive card in the tobacco market. So after that, the Senate passed a ruling that the cards could still be put in cigarette packs, but for trading cards to be sold in packs on their own, some sort of premium had to be included with it, a food premium. So the very earliest ones that lasted all the way to the 90s was a stick of bubble gum. You'd buy a pack of Topps Baseball, you'd get a stick of gum. When I first started doing design and I worked with Upper Deck, they changed it to where the premium was a hologram sticker.
Right.
And that became huge. After that, everything was an insert card. Sketch cards, hologram stickers, a swatch of the ball leather, or a swatch of someone's tennis shoe, or swatch of a uniform or a jersey in the cards. And they were one of one, autographs from players, on and on. And it worked out really good. It did. So, you know, collecting baseball cards is just like collecting Ninja Turtle cards, or like these dinosaur cards, or maybe a set of cards based on your book series, because the more you upgrade it and the more you include specials in it, a lot of times fans will cross over. I've seen a lot of fans who say, you know, I mostly collect football cards or hockey cards, whatever, but I do have a couple of, you know, slabbed baseball cards, or I have a signed ball card, or whatever. You know, the specials are a giant attraction. If this set didn't have any of the specials, I don't know how investable it would be to the collector.
Yeah, I love it. I love the idea of the tooth, right, with the fossils and things. I think that's awesome too. The kids I know will absolutely get a kick out of that.
Oh,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
they'll love that.
There's actually a bunch of secrets too. Every one of the campaigns that we've done, there's hidden secrets. So some people will actually get, you know, the megalodon tooth or get the stamp, but there's actually some actual fossils that are coming with them, and a lot of people are getting toys, and a lot of people are getting personal sketches added to their orders, and they don't even know about it.
That's so cool. I love that stuff. When you open the box, man, and things jump out at you, that's a good thing. So
exactly. With
Yeah.
the Wizard of Oz set, we packed it in straw like it was the Scarecrow, and they came in little boxes with witched stickers on them, and we gave away extra cards for the pulp card set. So people would open it up, they'd get their 36 cards or whatever the set was, and then the cards themselves, the sketch cards, were further heat sealed in plastic. So we, you know, like a gray Mylar. So nobody knew what they were getting until the end. One guy opens it up, he's got 2 cards, another one 5, you know, another one 1, and an instant win card for something else. And it really works out. I really think that giving people a nice story to carry on, or a good experience, is actually worth a lot more in the long run.
Yeah, right. Even to your point with the packaging, with, like you said, the straw from the Scarecrow, I think a lot of times people skip out on that too, and that's hugely important, because your initial experience with your product is that box that you receive in your hands.
Right.
So that was really important to us too, to try to get that whole experience. We wanted the entire package to be a part of the art, not just the comic.
Right.
It was the event of you opening it and getting to experience that. So it's a big part of it too.
For me, I've been doing comic shows for many years. I took a big break for a while, but I took, you know, I've been doing them for many years. And I also carry that on to my shows too. Mac in Trouble, which is my comic book based on cats. We have a 7-foot-tall cat costume, and Mac walks around the shows. He'll hug people, he'll hand them out photos and cards. We give away free promo cards at every show that we've done. I've done roll of dice games where nobody loses. Just the higher the dice, the bigger the prize. Spin the wheel sometimes, hide stuff inside items, and when they go home, they open it up, and you know, they just got a free sketch, or they just got a signed card, or whatever, you know, maybe a print inside of a print rolled up, you know, that kind of thing. And I think it carries on, because a lot of times, and I get a lot of flack for this, but a lot of times I'll go to shows and I'll see guys with their, you know, I'm you know, birds, you know, angry birds, or, you know, I'm texting my girlfriend, or, you know, I'm doing a live, you know, recording or something, or they're sketching and doing stuff, and they never lift their head up to see, you know, the person that they're talking to. They're the fans out there really deserve attention,
Right.
and they don't look up. It's like you're not a Walmart. You don't walk in looking for a wrench and then they go to you with their $5 and they're out of here. They want the experience.
That's it.
And I use this big analogy because I used to teach, and I used to do a lot of panels at shows for dealers and artists. And I used to tell them, it's impression. It's a big deal. Let's say, for example, you're collecting Fantastic Four, and you go and you find a dealer and you say, do you have number, 100? Oh, yeah, I got a couple of them. Oh, wonderful. That's the only one I need. And I've got every one. Oh, it's great. So you plunk down your money and you're done, So you go online and you're like really excited and you say, dude, I just got the last Fantastic Four I needed to get every single one of them in the set. They don't remember what the damn dealer's name is. Hi, Fred. I'm going to remember you from this Rhode Island, blah, blah, blah. They don't give a crap who that is.
Right.
They just say, hey, I got the Fantastic Four. I got the full set. That's the story. Right. That's it. Don't bury the lead. That's the story. On the opposite hand, Matt grabbed somebody's hat and ran down the aisle. Here's a 7-foot-tall cat running away with a guy's hat. Or I did a magic trick at the table, and I'm telling somebody like, here's cards. All right, and blah blah blah. Here it is. Is this your card? Look closer. And they put their head up, and I like squeeze the cards and shoot the cards up at them. Or I've drawn skulls and sketches on people's pants, people's shirts, things like that. I used to get a lot of Walking Dead posters. I used to draw stuff on those. They'll go home and they'll be like, wow, remember what happened to Uncle Fred? He was walking down the aisle and the cat stole his hat. Or you wouldn't believe this guy said this. And, whatever. We were joking around for like a half hour and on and on and on. I went back to that guy's table. I kept going back over and over and over. You buy the experience.
That's it. Yeah.
If you're just there for the book, stay home and go to eBay.
Yeah, that was really prevalent in like the fine art world too. So that's a little bit my background, Rusty. I was an oil painter for 10 years prior to going back into the comic world.
And you really have to engage when you do fine art.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the image that people are buying, it's you, and it's the story behind the image. So you have to talk to people and explain it to them, especially, I'm more of a realistic painter, but if I'm a contemporary abstract painter, I really have to break that down for people so they get an understanding of what they're looking at and why it's important.
Right. It's like an old phrase that I heard a long time ago. It's not what's in the envelope, it's the way you address it.
That's it. People are buying you at the end of the day, too, and they want that experience in that relationship.
It's so hard to teach people that, too, because all they want to do is mess around, hope that somebody buys something, sit there and eat in front of them, constant complaining, talk to their neighbor, don't want to interrupt their conversation. People are looking at their stuff. I usually stand up when somebody comes over, shake hands. Well, I mean, it's hard to do now because everybody's, COVID.
Fist bump, elbows. Right?
Yeah. Last time I elbowed somebody, I got thrown out of the ring on my head.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that too. So we're going to be talking about.
I have a good time when I have people. I have a great time. A group of people comes up and I'll give them each a signed card and I'll be like, yeah, not you. I'll look right at the guy and I'll be not you. You're that ass that asked me for money in the parking lot, and everybody will laugh. And then I'll give him something extra. And then I'll be like, I always love it when a husband and wife or a couple come up because I'll be like, oh, would you like some signed cards? And I'll be like, okay, here's the card. And I'll hold it out between them. 9 times out of 10. Actually, let me take that back. 10 times out of 10, the guy always grabs for the card. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? This was for her. And I look right at her and I said, wow, you could do better. Much better. But you know what, though? It's exhausting. I will say that much. There's no commercial break. At the end of the day, you've talked yourself hoarse. You've stood up and down like a jack in the box. You've given away so much free stuff, like you're one of these religious nuts at the airport. You've gone the limit, you have. But you know what? It's very fulfilling, and the stories and the friends that you make are great. especially repeat customers. They're great. I've known some for more than 20 years that support everything that I do, that contact me every day, talk to me every day. Hi, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Have you got a new card set coming out? That kind of thing. Sometimes they inspire me to do something new just because they ask so much. So, which I'm happy for,
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's some great advice. A lot of people made their first book like we did during this whole thing that's gone down the last year and a half.
This was a great opportunity.
It always is. It always is. In history of the world, whenever something like this happens, there's always a renaissance, right?
Right.
And a huge thing comes out about it. But a lot of us are going to be going to our first cons with our first book. So it's great advice that you provided, Rusty, for people is, to get up there and get engaged and be, interactive with the people. Don't just sit behind your table with your arms folded.
They have a great chance right now because they could do the fist bump or the elbow bump. They can make a big joke out of it. They could paint something on their elbow, and when they go to put it out like this, it's funny, makes someone laugh. They could wear different masks. They could do sketches on masks and hand them out at shows. There's so much stuff that they could do. You have to turn the bad into the good. Every garden of flowers has a little manure. You have to. And I love it when people turn around and say, well, I work my job all day long and I'm just gotten into the studio. I'm going to be working all night long. God, I wish I had more time. God just gave you the time, dude. What the hell are you on your ass for?
That's how Joel and I are, honestly. Like, we have day jobs.
Right.
We work together. That's how we connected. And
Right.
we'll stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning.
You have a passion for what you do, and you've taken this time and you've utilized it. And that, I think, is the most important thing. Like I said, I've been doing this since the 70s. I will say, hand to God, I will say that during the whole COVID crisis, pandemic, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, I've actually worked 3 times as much as I ever did before. I have worked on 4 different films. I've done voices for at least 5 or 6 cartoons. I've worked on about 10 trading card sets, and I still have 5 on deck that I have to finish by the end of August, beginning of September. I put out this set, I put out another set, and I put out a comic during this time. And I've done tons of work for charity, like sketch covers. There's a place called Comic Book Covers for Cancer, and I do covers for them, and I'll send them in. I did a piece for the Inkwell Awards where I inked one of Ron Friend's Thor pieces, and that'll be up on eBay, and that supports their charitable organization. Sitting on your ass is not a luxury. Resting is not a luxury. If you have a passion for something and you're not exercising it, all that muscle turns to fat, and dreams don't make it better.
Well, that's it, too. We run into a lot of artists, too. Like, again, I'm going back to the fine art world for a bit. They expect someone to come knock on their door and rescue them from their studio.
Right.
And it's like, man, that's not going to happen. You got to do the business. And all these schools and stuff, man, they I hope it's getting better. But for the most part, they fail on teaching you the business side of things, that there is a hustle. 80% of your day is marketing and business, and 20% is art, if you're lucky. So that's about it, right?
I won't name names, but I don't like art schools. I don't like comic book schools and all of that. I don't hold anybody in disregard. If somebody goes to a famous comic book school or a famous art school, that's good for them. But they don't teach you the art of the tool. They don't teach you how to use the tools more efficiently. They don't push your style. Everything is, here's what's in front of you. This is what you should do. Copy my style, on and on and on. It would be like 100 people who crank out like Rob Liefeld stuff that looks like a Xerox of his, or 100 people who do Jack Kirby stuff, or 100 people who do Bob Camp stuff. I don't agree with that. I like that, which is why on my trading card sets, whenever I do sketch cards, or on my comics, whenever I do pinups, I bring in different people. I like to see the characters done in their style. I like to see the characters, regardless if it's Mac in Trouble, my book, or the dinosaurs here, or whatever. I want to see their style be pushed. And I'll bring in first timers. For this dinosaur set, I had 5 different artists that have never done trading cards before. This is their first credit. And on the pulp set, just before this, I had 10. Never done artwork before. They cranked it out and they did beautiful work. They took the advice. I never told them anything negative. Oh, that looks like crap, man. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, erase that and do this instead. Everything was positive reinforcement. And I think that because of the fact of the way comics have shifted with each generation, like saying, for example, which Batman did you grow up with? That was our measuring stick for the industry. Each generation, comic books have changed. They become more mature, or they more pages, less pages, gimmicks, whatever. And it's just like wrestling. Wrestling is the same way. It went from 2 guys with, excuse me, 2 guys with normal names in the ring, and they're like killing each other, and now they're like superheroes. So
flippity flops and doing backflips off the
pardon me, I'm sorry guys, I think it's an allergy. I'm dying here.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
I'm allergic to your cigar.
Yeah, right. So is my wife, so that's why I'm on the porch. So,
but the thing is, real quick, I'm sorry I'm talking so much. The thing is that when it comes to doing this, all of a sudden, Image Comics comes along. Independent comics, I hate that term, independent, but independent comics comes along, and a number of people turn around and say, don't work for free. And they use the house painter analogy. Well, you can paint my house and put a sign in the front yard and all that other bullshit and whatever. And I tell people, if you don't learn how to work with somebody, if you don't get experience, you're not going to be able to do a good job. It's the catch-22. You need experience to do the job, but you can't do the job unless you got experience. Yeah. And it's nonsense. And I try to be very positive and bring people along, because during the 90s, a lot of bad attitudes came out. It was a combination of golden agers and silver agers who were disgruntled with the industry, who were bringing these guys along, young punks who were working for the companies doing, in my opinion, graffiti art and garbage art, and they were making big names for themselves, all money motivated, which I get, but there's a difference between getting the money to pay the bills and being happy with your name out there versus becoming a millionaire overnight with your crappy art. And that's the way I feel. That a lot of them went. So they spread their bad attitude like butter on toast, and it just soaked into every new artist from the 90s all the way down. And whenever I work with people, I try to be extremely positive, long deadlines, a lot of respect, really nice. Everybody gets a set that works on the cards. Everybody gets freebies, whatever. And I see a lot of that missing. When I did work for big companies, they used to send me a box of comics. These are the ones you worked on. Here's some others, blah, blah, blah. And then we would collect them, and we would give some to kids, and we would say, like, go to a show, and we'd be like, here's my book, cover price, didn't charge for the signature. Try doing that today.
Yeah, one of the things we hope to do with Livid, mentioned bringing on new artists, is I want to bridge that gap with the fine artists in the comic world. So we're actually in talks with some people that do fine art and oil painting in different mediums. We want to bring them in, maybe do some covers and things. We think that would be kind of cool.
Covers, pinups, yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's great. That is great. It brings about a friendly atmosphere, and it adds a very strong alternate dimension to your book. It's just like one of my friends with Arthur Sudum, the one that does all of the horror covers, like for Marvel Zombies and on and on and on. His work is extraordinary, and when he graces a cover, it looks so much better than just a normal comic cover. Not that it's better in a sense that this is bad art and this is better art, but it's different, and that's where the term variant would come from. People were offering something that was different, unique. The
Alex Ross covers too, right? I mean, those things are immaculate. They're freaking hand painted. they just look incredible. But
Angelo says he's down for a cover, guys. So there we go. We'll get some Angelo DeLeon.
I want to say for Yule real quick too, Rusty too. So like Joel's style is like you said, he's fine arts, right? So like mixing comics and fine arts, like if you read Yule, like it doesn't look like a standard comic. I mean, it looks like art. Like it's
right.
I wasn't trying to emulate anybody. I wasn't trying to. I mean, obviously, some things are going to come through because of what you're exposed to, right? That's normal. But I wasn't going into it thinking like, okay, like I'm a big EC Comics fan. I love Jack Davis, Johnny Craig, all those guys. Like, but I'm not sitting there trying to draw. I'm not even going to try to do Jack Davis because Jack Davis is on another planet all his own. So
listen, it's in this market, it's hard enough to be you. Why would you want to try to be somebody else and fail at it?
Exactly.
So I always tell a lot of artists, even if in the back of your mind, dude, your work looks like crap. Like you can't. Every time you draw a circle, it comes out a triangle. What's the matter with you? No. Push the positive, If you draw circles and they look like triangles, shit, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's kind of prevalent in the
there's a market for everybody.
Tops did that too with their Project 70 series, where they had all those artists come in and do their own variant take on all those classic cards, and they kind of just let them run with it. Like they're like, do whatever you want, man. And that's kind of a cool set. Like some of the the old school baseball card guys are knocking some of that style, and it's like, no, man, that's just their jam. Like that's what they do.
Everybody has got an opinion. They're all entitled to their opinion. Opinions are subjective. It's just like looking at a pretty girl or a flavor of ice cream or whatever. It's your opinion. It's your choice. It's whatever you want. It's like, brings to mind that old episode of Happy Days. Potsy and Ralph Malp are sitting there and they're looking at a girly magazine, and Ralph like turning the page, and then the obvious thing, he opens up the centerfold and he's looking at the nude centerfold, and his eyes are wide, and he's like, wow, and then Potsy says, wow, I wonder what she'd look like in a sweater. It's subjective. It's whatever you want it to be. They don't have to collect those cards if they don't like them.
Exactly. Yeah. Same with comics. You don't like the art, don't buy the book. It's okay, right?
I have fans, or collectors, I should say, not fans. I have collectors that have bought my first set, didn't care for the second set, and bought this one, or bought the first two and not into dinosaurs. That's fine. It's not meant to alienate you. It's meant to give you a choice. When you walk into a convention, you got $20 in your pocket. You can buy a print from somebody. You could get a sketch from somebody. You could buy a hot dog. That $20 is being competed for like cats trying to fight over a fish. It's nonsense. So if you don't like something, rather than knock it and bash it, have a better attitude. Just walk away. I don't know how many hundreds of television shows in my lifetime I haven't watched because they didn't appeal to me. And I don't know how many hundreds of shows I've watched that other people have knocked because it didn't appeal to them. It's just that kind of a thing. Comic books and collectibles are a little bit different because you're putting your heart into whatever you're buying. Even if you're just a flopper, or a flipper, I guess they call them, you buy something, hold it and sell it for higher. You put your heart into it. Well, you're like, I like dinosaurs. I like Christmas themed comics. I like, 50s, 60s style paintings, whatever. And you buy it. If you like it, it's yours. If you flip it, okay, well, that's what your part of the collectible is. That's good because you're good for the industry as a flipper. Whatever you buy, even if you sell it for a little bit later on, the guy you're selling it to must really want it. And guess what? We make things so that people really want them. So this middleman basically just got, something that we poured our heart into to somebody who really wanted that item. And that's okay. So there was a big conversation in one of the groups that I'm in. Have you ever done a commission for somebody and then they sell it to somebody for a higher price? And all these people are complaining. And I'm like, you know what? It's their property. They could do whatever the hell that they want with it. I don't go to Sears and buy a couch and then they come visit me a year later and say, can I sit on your couch? It's mine. I could do whatever I want with it. Set it on fire, garage sale, let the dog chew it, whatever I want. It's my thing.
And those people, they help you to raise your price up. So
Right.
it's all good.
That's right. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, my first trading card set was less than $10 because I was a novice and I didn't really care. First card set is now going for $150. But you know what? I don't even have one. I wound up giving them all away, so I don't care. It would be. I was at a big show in Maryland. I loved this show. It was a celebrity show. And because I had done a lot of TV stuff, they brought me in for one show or another. And we were all signing. There was a lot of, TV stars. And I had my art out. So this guy comes up. This is when the Shield show was on the air and Ghost Rider was about to make his appearance. And I had this 11 by 17 piece of the Ghost Rider that I did. Oh my God, this is my favorite character. Oh, I can't believe this. And he's going on and on and on. And my wife is like kicking my foot, under the table, laughing because it's like, this guy's really, this guy is giant, huge smiles and whatever. He bought it. I lowered the price to $70. He bought it. And I'm like, wow, that makes me feel really good. Somebody bought it and they got what they wanted and on and on and on. He's a big fan. She comes to me a couple of days later. Look what I found. It was on eBay. The guy was selling it for $250. 2 days later. You know what? Whoever got it must have really wanted it, and that's why I drew it.
That's all. Yeah, it's good, right? It's good for the industry, like you said. It perpetuates the hobby, so that's a good thing.
Right. So,
yeah.
But this campaign here, you're hopefully it looks. I mean, you're trending this way, but it looks like you're going to crush that 2,000. So
I hope so, because that just means that we're reaching more people, and it gets bigger and bigger. 1,500. We just added 3 cards, and then 2,000. We're going to be adding another one, and starting this weekend, we're going to be putting out more free digital cards. And we're going to be putting out interviews with a bunch of the artists, because a lot of times campaigns are just buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. We turn them into magazines. So when the person goes to the campaign, they're getting free stuff. The campaign design changes every once in a while. There's articles to read. There's things in the updates and the comment section, on and on and on. We add a lot to it. So it revolves. And I give that advice to everybody. Don't just make a campaign that stays the same. We call them one and done. Somebody comes in, they contribute, and they're gone. One and done. That's it. Make it so that they have to keep coming back. Make it so that they have to keep looking. It's like magazine, you read issue 1, there's an article, it continues next month, you got to go buy 2. There's a continuing feature, you got to get 3, 4, 5. The covers change, there's unique items or features, and you keep coming back, and that's what I like.
Yeah, well, you and I were talking about this offline last night too after the show, and like we have these cover variants that like we're only going to print X amount of these. So even in future campaigns, it's like, sure, we'll offer you a one in other campaigns, but you're not going to get those other covers ever again. So this is why it's so important. So,
and I tell people all the time, your campaign isn't a store. Your campaign is more like a magazine. Like I was saying, you've got to appeal to the person, keep coming back, keep looking. Because almost every campaign that I've worked on for companies like movies, I do a lot of film art, and they'll just have like a campaign, and they'll say like, we hit the next goal, and we're gonna have pictures signed and hit the next goal and whatever. And I told somebody, what about, they do voices screaming or, calling out the character's name, and they email them to you, and you put them in the movie, and they actually have a part like IMDb. A credit.
Yeah. Rusty.
What about signed props?
Like I have a very rather interesting question to ask you. I was looking at your history, and I see that you have a wide array of professions. Like you worked as an actor, as a wrestler. You do voiceovers, comics, cards, and there's so many things that I was confused. I was asking, which one is the guy we're having tonight? Because it seemed to me that you were many people, but now it seems it's the same person.
I'm a jackass of all trades.
Yeah. And then my question is, how do you connect those things that apparently are not on the same, I would say, on the same field of action?
Right. It's three words. I'm an entertainer. I've gotten up on stage and done plays in front of audiences, and then gone home and worked on comic book pages until the wee hours, and then woke up and went to the studio and worked on cards. I enjoy doing, entertainment is really what it is. I started out as a child actor, and I started doing comics and film art in my early teens. And it was funny because some of the stuff I worked on, I wasn't even old enough to go see in the theater, and I was still doing work for them. Funny anecdote or short story, and I'll make this really short because I'm doing all the talking and that sucks. But I went ahead and I did artwork for a newspaper, and they were giving out awards. And this was in California when I lived there for a long time. And they said, you have to come in and, make sure you're wearing a suit or something nice. You'll get your picture taken with the editor, and they'll give you a check, and on and on and on. I'm like, oh, that's great. So I hop in the car with my mom, and she drives me down to the newspaper, and I'm dressed really nice. I've got like a turtleneck sweater on and some nice shoes. I look like I was dressed to the nines, man. And I go out there, and they're like, who are you guys? And I said, well, I'm Rusty, and this is my mother. Oh, well, where's your dad? And I'm like, I don't have a dad. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, we were looking for, the one that did the artwork. And I said, that's me. And he goes, how old are you? And I said, 14. And he goes, oh, no. We needed a photo of a man. We can't have like this kid. So handed me the check, handed me the plaque, told me to go on my way, blah, blah, blah. And they took one of the guys that worked in the office, like the assistant, who was like in his 20s, and they took a picture of him and put my name under it.
Oh, jeez. You should have him sign it and send you a picture.
But it was just very funny. I worked on. I worked on
to get a compliment.
Yeah, it was. I was looking at this as a chance to get girls, and all I wound up getting was $50. That's not going to get me a girl. No. Today, $50 is a movie and popcorn. So imagine,
if you're looking.
Right.
It's not like I could rely on my good looks and my sophisticated charm.
Oh man. I wanted to. I wanted to go back to this.
I bet you did.
I lost my train of thought. So I was going to say I have an echo too. I don't know if anyone else does.
Yeah, I got a little bit.
Is it me? You want me to put the headphones on again?
Oh, maybe. I don't know who it is. But
like if you have the YouTube channel, on at the same time, so you have to turn it off.
It might be Aquaman invading our podcast here tonight too. So.
But you guys keep talking. I'll put the damn headphones on.
Well, I wanted to.
See, this is why I like you better, Joel.
Yeah, we are cool.
I was really excited because our campaign ended for Yule today, and we've been working on Yule 2 and Deadball issue 1, and we've been holding off on really pushing that stuff because we wanted to just back our campaign and get this thing cranking. So tonight it just lined up. I wanted Rogerio to share the first page of Deadball live on our show. So no one's seen this yet. Some people have seen the cover Joel did, but no one's seen any work inside the book, and he's crushing it. So we don't want to give too much away, but I wanted him to be able to share the first page tonight on our show. So with no dialogue.
I'm very excited. I have to grab another beer here. Just 1 second. Keep on talking. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no worries.
So we'll need him to share his screen anyways, but it's been awesome, seeing. So I see these two different styles because I have Joel is drawing Yule and Rogério's drawing Deadball, and I'm just sitting here spoiled with them sending me page by page as they do them. So it's been really cool to watch. But
that would be a great future reward. John draws cover. All right, so is there echo now?
No, you're good. That was it, I guess.
I muted Rogério too, so maybe it's him. So we'll see when he comes back on too.
Well, we should always mute Rogério. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you heard that.
Keep going. You're doing all right. Finish your sentence.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can share yours. You know how to do that on here, right? On StreamYard?
Yeah, let me try.
Well, we don't need sound, so you don't have to make my mistake.
Yeah, it won't be a $5 fine for not including the sound.
Every time I share my screen, I forget to share the audio, and then we have to go back and waste 5 minutes. So.
And it goes to charity.
Every time I share a screen, I'm just afraid to share some porn stuff. So
I was just going to say.
We call that production value. That's production value.
Make sure you select the right browser.
all of a sudden, there's a picture on the screen, bustyasians.com.
I mean, I would die laughing, so it would be worth it at Rogério's expense.
You would attract a lot of people.
Yeah. So everybody, this is the first page of Deadball here. It's not colored yet, but
world premiere, guys.
Beautiful artwork. I love the car.
Right.
Well.
Colored.
So Deadball, we've talked briefly about it on some videos, but it takes place in the early 1900s, and it follows a baseball player who has his career cut short by a gruesome injury, and he ends up making a deal with a devil sort of situation to get his career back, but he doesn't even know what the return favor is. So years later, after his career is over, they're coming for him for that return favor. So the book starts off with a bang. It starts off in the future. As you see that silhouette there in the bottom panel, it starts off with them coming to his house, and you have no idea what's going on yet. So
could you home in on the bottom panel, the bottom left panel? I love the shading. That's great.
Yeah, that's stipple. That's like a stipple effect. That's awesome.
That's what I do. I've been doing stippling since the 80s, basically. I love it.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's great for merges too. Look at that black area, it's just a declination of the white to the black with the stippling. And then a lot of times when I do comic pages, I'll wind up using a white pen and going in for a little bit more effect, and a blue pen because when you use a light blue pen, it sometimes will translate to gray. So it goes from white to gray to black, and it makes it look nice. This is really sharp work.
Yeah, I love it. It has like an art noir kind of feel to it. And almost it reminds me of the contrast, really reminds me of like some Frank Miller work too. Quite a bit.
Guys, can I show you just one panel from the page 3?
Hey, you can, sure. We're not.
You're driving, buddy. You're driving the ship
here. You can share whatever you want at this point.
I don't give much away just because I love that panel.
All right. We all have a favorite panel. That happens, so that's okay.
Yeah, so far, I'm still.
Oh, I love this one, man.
Oh, this is nice.
He's hiding in the closet, and that's the light shining in on him. So
great use of negative space. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's killer.
So he sent us the first 3 pages so far, and we've loved them so much that we want to do a black and white variant. It just looks like it should almost be black and white.
There's nothing wrong with that. DC made a fortune. There's the porn. There's the porn right there.
It's something else. There's for a living.
That's the porn right there. There you go.
Oh, it is. Let me get off.
Is that Vega or Elf in book 2? She's coming out in Yule too. That she's going to make a premiere, right? So my girls will be all over that, buddy. You should do something with that too. That's awesome.
Be like, hey there, babe. Have you ever seen my twisted tree?
Good way to bring women over, right? Hey, come. I want to show you my twisted tree. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's it. Come on up, and I'll show you my avocados.
I actually do have an avocado tree growing in my house in New Hampshire.
kidding.
So yeah,
Really?
we grew it from seed out of the grocery store. My wife's all about that type of stuff, and it's working. So I don't know what's going to happen when this thing is 15 feet tall. I might have to blow up my ceiling or something, but
we had a giant one when we lived in California. It was so big, we had to throw away avocados because it just was immense, and they would drop like every once in a while. It was like rain. We'd hear like brrr, and we'd go look outside, and there'd be like 30 of them on the ground, and the squirrels love them. So
yeah, I've done some work in Honduras, some humanitarian work, and like you said, to your point, it's just that stuff's so plentiful. Then you go to, Chipotle, and they're like, yeah, it's extra for guac, and you're like, why? There's so many avocados in the world, man.
Right,
like, why is it extra for guac? So, Carl Rogers says dead ball artwork is a knockout. So there you go, Rogério. So,
thank you.
Yeah, man.
By the way, hi to the guys in the comments. I can't comment or chat back with you, so I just want to say hi to everybody that's in there.
Yeah, I've been popping them up as they come up, so they're there. So hopefully they're.
That's the only thing about StreamYard that I don't like is you can't really converse because I'd be answering and chatting with everybody while I'm sitting here.
I'll pop them up if they come up. So if everybody got questions, I'll just throw them up on there. So that's fine. So it works.
Some shows. This is only our third actual show. We've done a couple random shows that we didn't count, but. Some shows we have a ton of interaction, and some it's like silence, right? So
amateurs, God.
But
look, cherish these days, because when you got your 200th show, you'll be like, "Hey, remember how much fun we had on our third or fourth show? Yeah, I really miss that." That's what I hear.
Worry about what we said. Yeah, like before.
Yeah.
Before YouTube became like this totalitarian government branch,
right?
And you got screwed over, and they're like, "No, you can't smoke on there anymore. Sorry."
We can't monetize you. You're smoking, so
yeah,
right.
Oh,
yeah,
it's coming. Okay,
We're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep the 18 cents.
Like really good. That looks like really good lemonade. I like that.
Lemonade.
Is that the lager? That looks light for a lager. Okay.
That's his homebrew, right?
You have. Oh, yeah. Lining. Wait, Hogarden. Yes, Hogarden. Yeah, I've had Hogarden.
Hogarden. I think.
I'm drinking these hard seltzers to try to stay low on the calories, but I don't know. I miss beer.
I always say it's moonshine. You're drinking moonshine.
He says moonshine. That sounds more badass. I should just go with that.
You guys are a bad influence on me. Smoking, drinking, God.
Right?
Yeah.
My
no jump, no soul,
years. Right? Here I am with mine.
No, that's probably what. I don't know. If the more shows we do, I'm going to have to, because, again, we've only done 3 shows, but we were lucky enough to be on a lot of podcasts over the last month.
Great. Yeah.
But
I actually enjoy podcasts more than I enjoy doing shows now. I have to say, I don't want to get political or anything. I never do. Anybody that goes to my website, my Facebook page, Instagram, I never do anything but artwork, cats, and kids. That's all I do. And I never do anything negative because I don't think that the fans deserve that. I hate it when celebrities and talking points and on and on and on. And what's the first thing that they do? They quote unquote use their platform to, tell the world, everything that they think, from toilet paper to president. I don't give a crap about that.
We're the escape.
Right. That's exactly what collectibles are. Comics, cards, whatever, even porn, whatever it is. It's an escapism. If I wanted to talk about the president or some foreign person or whatever, I'd go watch TV news. I don't need that. I said a long time ago, I have 4 boys, and this always gets me in trouble, and I love the backlash, but I always say I would rather my kids look at a naked woman than watch the news.
Yeah, why not?
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it has nothing to do with being prudish. It has nothing to do with the quote unquote European versus American thoughts about their markets and their prudishness and on and on and on. I think like the news is like the worst porn there is. It right now, without getting, political and whatever, I really think like the media is killing a lot of what's going on.
Absolutely, because it doesn't matter what side you're on. They're extreme on both sides. It doesn't
And the
matter,
funny thing is what's hot now is going to be out of favor in 10 years. So I got asked to do an anti-Trump comic book, and I said no. And I got asked by Cracked Magazine for their website to do artwork. And I said, I would love to do that. I grew up with Mad, Cracked, Not Brand Eck from Marvel and on and on. And I love that stuff. Satire is the backbone of comics. And I was like, I love that. Oh, yeah, the first thing we want to do is an anti-Trump, and then we want to do an anti-this and anti-that. And I said, okay, see you guys later. On the opposite hand, I also got asked to do an anti-Pelosi cartoon for some large newspaper. I won't say who. And I got asked to do, all these Republican type stuff. And I still said no. It doesn't matter that I think I actually would have loved to have done one of those jobs because I feel that way politically. I won't say which, but at the same time, I don't want to have my name associated with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I really feel like people say politics have always been a part of comics. I think that politics has always been a part of art, and comics just happen to have art. So the people who give voice to their political affiliations, give voice to their, the plight of a human being in a different country, or the homeless or veterans or whatever, it spills out through their artwork, whether it's cards, comics, Funko Pops, it could be anything. You could collect cigar bands and there's something to it, whatever, stamps, whatever. So it's just an extension. But the thing is that here's a celebrity, and they're bringing up something that he said 10 years ago on Twitter. Who cares? It was 10 years ago. Comedians can't be comedians anymore because the backbone for a comedian is to offend somebody. Because unless you offend somebody, bring out some fear or show some nonsense, they would rather talk about a beautiful woman who had a run in her nylons and go on for 20 minutes as a joke than talk about her beautiful legs, because the negative is funny. It's black humor. It's topical, but in a different way. You can't just get out there and say, white people, blah, 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 black people, blah, 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 because everybody takes offense. But 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Eddie Murphy was up on stage and we were all laughing to every single thing.
One of the best stand-ups of all time. The Larry Murphy Rock, both of those, those are the best.
The Eddie Murphy, I can't remember the comedy concert that he did, but the one where he was in Washington, D.C. was the first comedy concert I ever saw, and it was the best. I actually just watched it a couple of months ago with my wife. She's never seen it before. We were rolling in the aisles. Fred Flintstone being gay, and hey Barney, how would you like to fill in the blank?
You don't say that anymore.
No,
you
can't.
Could you imagine?
You come out and you say, hey Barney, how would you like to? And there's like three guys in the back of the audience lean forward to hear a little bit more.
Finish that sentence. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like, how would you like to? Let me write that down. He said I was gay, and he used the word ass, and then all of a sudden it's post, and then he's canceled the next day.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like a George Carlin right now going, or Sam Kinison right now going, or Bill Hicks?
Like Married with Children, like that. My dad grew up watching. I grew up watching that show with my dad, and I thought it was hilarious.
It was.
They still air reruns on TBS, I think, but like you couldn't make a show like that.
And people have to learn to, and I think this is a loaded statement, but I'll say it anyway. People have to learn to separate things. Bill Cosby, okay? This guy's a criminal. I'm not going to go further into that.
Right.
He got put away. He got let out Obviously, there's a speculation to all kinds of reasons why he went and why he came back. And people are going crazy. Well, they don't want to watch the Cosby Show anymore. They don't watch A Different World anymore. But guess what? Cosby Show had other actors on it. They had writers, they had staff, they had sponsors, and those people are also being denied a voice because you don't want to see Cosby anymore. So I was watching one of the guys who played, and I watch that show all the time, by the way. I thought it was hysterical. The guy who played, I think it was Elvin, who was his son-in-law. He's married to one of Cosby's daughters on the show. The actor in real life said, this show gets constantly put on the air. It's like Lucy. Everybody's doing it. It's all over the place. It's being broadcast in different languages. It's being aired in syndication all over. I could actually have a living from that. Now that Cosby did his crime and everybody's taking it off the air, I don't get any residuals anymore. I went from hundreds a week down to a check for $5. And I'm like, what's the matter with you? They don't want to watch Song of the South or Gone with the Wind anymore because
Gone with the Wind has like a disclaimer on it.
Right. And it's sick. It's sick because this is something that I said a long time ago. Let's say the situation was reversed and I was the one who represented a race of people who was oppressed at one time, who now has a lot more freedom. I'd be like, see how good those people were? We came from that and we came from here. I applaud those pioneers for doing that great work. And I think it's marvelous that they paved the road that I'm walking on now. Nope, They got to cancel everybody. And that goes for every side because,
you know, guys,
it's sick.
It's very tricky matter. I remember like a couple of years ago, I have a son, he's 6 now, but he was 4. And he was crazy into Michael Jackson. And we were
thinking Michael Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, we were in a barbecue. And then my kid, who was 4 at the time, said, I want to show you some moves. I want to show people some moves that I learned from Michael. And then I said, okay, give it a go. And then put the music on. And then on my side came my brother and said, you're going to let your kid dance to this? And then I said, to this, what? It's one of the greatest pop stars of all time. Right. Yeah, but he's a pedophile. What? Yeah, he's a pedophile.
Right.
There's a documentary on Netflix now explaining that.
Yeah.
And then
listen, you shouldn't take away anybody's accomplishments. OJ was a great football player.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, his private life may have been screwed up. Michael Jackson was a great entertainer.
And a 4-year-old don't give a fuck. Like he's gonna grow up. He's gonna leave in the past. He doesn't know what that means.
Or like that cartoon. What was it? Paw Patrol. They took the dog out that was dressed up like a policeman.
Yeah,
my kids love that show. My kids grew up with Paw Patrol. They love it.
Right, and
did you see that, Joel?
Yes.
I'm a little older, so a lot of the stuff like He-Man, Transformers, whatever, came about when I was an adult, and I still watch them. And when they say, "Oh, well, Barney, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, you know what? Barney's not made for me. Barney is made for somebody else. I applaud the fact that they made it into a success. I'm jealous. I wish I had a Barney myself that I could bring to market and, make a success out of. It wasn't made for me. So I don't have a right to knock someone else's fandom at all. Yeah. Doctor Who is nice. I worked on a couple of the books and I worked on a couple of the card sets. I did aftermarket work. I don't watch it. I've watched it a couple of times because one of my oldest sons loves the show. It's not my fandom. It's just not. Knocking it is like saying, you go to a restaurant and you comment on everyone else's dinner being shit. That's not the way it goes. You're not eating it. You're not entitled to an opinion. That's it. And this all this cancel stuff is just like that.
Yeah, well, like the Michael Jackson thing, though. It's like you hear the song play and you see someone just getting into it, and it's like, oh. They support that. And it's like,
sorry.
No, he cannot defend himself.
No,
and it shouldn't be because
nothing was proved.
you plant the seeds of hatred or doubt in a little kid, it grows. And if adults have a hard enough time being adult, imagine being a kid and being steered towards the wrong kind of adult. That's just that's too much. Enjoying the dancing of Michael Jackson, the football playing of OJ, the comedy of Bill Cosby, and hundreds of others. That's something that's pure.
That doesn't make you a bad person.
No, and that doesn't make them a bad person either until they do something bad, and they're not here to give you their personal life. Whatever OJ did in his personal life has absolutely nothing to do with his football career. Yeah. So all the records that he broke, and that college students and football players, professional players are still trying to break, that's OJ, the football player. Learn the difference between private life and public life, because you're not entitled to a ticket to their private life.
Right.
Just like that Britney Spears stuff that's going on right now.
That's wild.
Right, but
Again?
she's a fantastic performer. She's a pretty lady. She's a great singer. I'm not a fan, but she's a great singer. You have to admire, her professional standing. All this stuff that's going on in her private life. Okay, the news is making us privy to what's going on, but we don't have a right to judge. We don't have a right to comment. And it doesn't mean I'm going to stop listening to her music, or I'm going to stop watching football or watching Cosby or collecting stamps, whatever it is. Everybody's got that streak in them. Some people exercise it. That's their problem, not mine. I had a friend that had a ton of O.J. Simpson cards, and he basically threw them all up on eBay for like $10-20. Autographed ones and everything. And he's like, I'm not going to collect that creep stuff. He's a murderer, and on and on and on.
Yeah, she should have taken it to the trash.
Yeah, and the funny thing
Not
is,
making money out of it.
Right, everybody bought his stuff, and I'm like, whether they bought it because he was famous or because they love football or they appreciated the man has nothing to do with it. You're blowing yourself out of the water, and I think that sucks.
Yeah, here we go. U-turn. Yeah.
So we actually had a request. We had a request, Rios, offline here. Somebody wanted to see more of your work, so I said, "Well, we're going to be showing some heel turns." So
I've heard a lot about this.
Yeah, this is a great campaign.
This thing needs to get funded, but there's 4 days left, and
we love this book. We're like the #1 fan of this book. So we're going to let Rios steer this ship. John will drive, but Rios can take us through the campaign, buddy, and tell us a little bit more about this.
The only thing that I want to say, I said it
Will's in the chat, guys. So Will's here.
Is he? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
there he is. Boom. Good timing, Will.
I've said this on other podcasts too, and it's the reason we're working with Ruggiero is because of what we saw with Heel Turn. We saw it, and he was following us on Livid, and we saw his work, and so we wanted to work with him. So that's as big of a compliment as you can get. We're doing a comic book with him because of Heel Turn. So, and I mean, the story alone, actually Will sent me the digital copy, and I read it, and I freaking love it. It's dark, but it's great.
Yeah, Heel Turn experience to me has been a blast. And I don't really mind if we make it or not, because for me it's a success already, because this is what really brought me back into comics. I used to do comics when I was 20-something, I'd say 3 decades ago. And pandemic forced me to be at home, and I was I had loads of times in my hands. And then I said, well, why not do comics? And the best market for comics is United States. So, all right, I can communicate with those people there. So hopefully I will get the chance to start doing some comics. And I gave away a couple of samples, and I started talking to Will. And then Will sent me a script. I liked the script a lot. To say that's a nice story. I would love to draw that.
Speak of the devil, guess who's just popping in?
Here he is. All right. And then, we did the whole thing together. It was a very open kind of communication, between us. We connected, straight away. here we go. It is made, and Will can talk about it in a better way than I can. Like he's the author of the.
Yeah, welcome, Will. Welcome to the show tonight.
Welcome, Will.
Thanks for your time.
How you doing,
no
Will?
problem. I'm doing pretty good. And without Rios' art, this thing would not be anywhere as big as it's trying to become.
It looks awesome, man. Yeah, I think just the combo, like his style. You know, I think we talked about this, Rogerio, before, where, you know, obviously this isn't something your kids are necessarily going to read, at least at their, you know, at your son's current age. And same with Deadball, right? But like your style just plays so well to this dark theme. It works awesome. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, the best pages are not in the campaign.
Oh yeah, man! I read the book. I loved it.
Yeah, my favorite pages are not there, but I love every panel on it.
Rusty, have you gone off the top turnbuckle like that a few times in your day, or?
Oh yeah, my thing was I was more of a ground person. I didn't care for the high flying stuff, but when it was asked of me, I did a few.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
Wait,
it basically looked like someone was throwing a roast pig out the window, but yeah, I did it.
Nice, that's awesome.
What? So I mean, you said you wrestled in the, was it late 80s? Did you say?
Yes,
Yeah.
mostly between 82 and 87.
So like really, I mean, like the until Vader came, like there wasn't really many like high flying moves for big men, right? Like were you like doing like he did like the moonsault and everything? Like
a lot of that stuff was lucha libre, Mexican wrestling. I wrestled a few times in Tijuana in Mexico at the Highlight Palace. I really enjoyed doing that. The lucha guys are fantastic athletes. But I didn't really get into a lot of the fancy move, high flying stuff. I was more of a ground level person. I was a mat wrestler, so I enjoyed that.
You know,
the hard part was if you weren't marketable in one way or another, you basically became a squash match for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to happen, because when I was discovered starting wrestling, I was discovered by a big wrestler, and he taught me pretty much everything. And when I started doing work and getting on television in California, and then I was wrestling a lot in Vegas, it was a different game than it is today. All of the high flying stuff, all of the gymnastics came a little bit after the stuff that I did. Now, guys like Snuka and Don Morocco, they were into a lot of the high flying stuff, and they introduced a lot to the American market. But the lucha guys were doing it since the 50s.
So I grew up watching wrestling. I was born in the 80s, but the Snuka off the cage, like that was like the high flying move of like the lifetime, right? But then
it was
came.
to me it was the best move there. It was the best highlight in the whole sport of wrestling.
Yeah,
and it really was. Everybody
for me to remember that at this point in time, right? Like I was a little kid, and I mean, obviously I've seen the highlights, but I just remember and that's what inspired Mick Foley too. You know, it's crazy. So
that was literally, in my opinion, was the highlight of the sport. People will say things like tables, ladders, and chairs, or some of the bloodier matches or steel cage matches, things like that. Wrestlers and celebrities, they'll just go on and on and on. But that was actually, to me, the biggest highlight there was.
Yeah.
It had never been attempted before. It was attempted in a very special way. It was unscripted, and it was done in a fashion where everybody that was sitting down stood up. Everybody that was standing up couldn't believe what was going on. It was amazing. If there were pay-per-views at the time, or if there was national television at the time when that got put on, it would have launched wrestling into a different perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And
it was amazing.
My favorite match as a kid was Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon in the ladder match, and like that, like if you watch that now, the stuff they did is nothing, right?
Right.
Like, that's just normal.
Well, that's like what we were talking about last night. You keep doing encores, you get better and better and better, and the rare stuff becomes so commonplace that people don't appreciate it as being rare anymore.
Right.
So, it used to be you'd see a special match once every couple of months. Now every show you see multiple specials.
Well, the shows are named after the matches.
Right.
It's
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
The first Royal Rumble was not a pay-per-view. It was a match that happened during a WWF television taping that was on USA Network back when it was a cable channel. And the first winner was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But they don't mention that because the second one was a pay-per-view, and they mention who won that one, and on and on and on. But that first one was very hard fought. A lot of it was unscripted. It was off the cuff. They actually didn't even know who the winner was. They decided who the winner was going to be, or they planned for the winner, and it kept changing all throughout the match as guys were going through the curtain to the ring.
That's so my wrestling nerdism shows out there because I knew that, and Pat Patterson's the one that came up with it, right? The Rumble, I believe.
That's right.
So
that's right. He was a pioneer himself.
Yeah.
Him and his brother, they were pioneers. Wrestling used to be a family sport. You would always see like the father, the brother, the son, on and on and on. A whole family, the Harts, the Von Erichs, whatever. And it just. There, I don't want to take anything away from anybody, but it stopped being a family sport and started going towards the acting more.
Yeah,
actors and stuntmen. And I'm not taking anything away. They still work hard. Everything is the way it was back in the 50s. They worked their asses off, but it's not the same. And when I stopped watching, that was the last time I watched a wrestling match, was probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah, I
you
think
haven't missed much.
Yeah, Will can probably talk to some of that, hopefully, because he did some work with wrestling too.
Yeah.
So, Will and Rios, why don't you take us
years later.
Yeah, right. Take us through this campaign, man, because I think everybody in the world needs to know about this. We love it. We're your biggest fans.
So,
Yes,
like
yes,
you
you
said,
are.
go ahead, Rios.
No, keep going.
I was saying, like you said, my background is I've always been an avid professional wrestling fan. Like John, I was born in the 80s, but I grew up watching wrestling. My mom watched wrestling when she was younger, and she's the one that actually introduced me into professional wrestling. She was always a Von Erich fan and things of that nature. Growing up, definitely NWA style wrestling back then, or with her, and she always loved those kind of characters, and she's always loved the pretty boys and things like that. Well, I got introduced into wrestling then, right around the time the Attitude Era started is when I was really hardcore into it. And then there was a full calendar year where I didn't get to watch it at all because I was in third grade and I decided to tell my teacher to suck it, including the hand gestures, and was subsequently banned from watching wrestling for a year by my mother. So, in spite of it, I started writing. I started writing in the mid-2000s, doing e-federations with MSN groups. They were big with the MSN groups stuff, and I did a lot of the role-playing e-fed games. I had some created characters along with role-playing. I loved guys like Jeff Jarrett and things like that. That Jeff Jarrett was a character that I loved to role-play as quite a bit. I loved his character. So that's where my writing kind of style came in. It's also where I started doing graphic design. Well, then I joined the military while I was active duty. I met some independent wrestlers and started just doing some t-shirt designs, flyer designs, and working my way up, making some connections here and there. Never thought that I would make connections that I did. Eventually, because of my connections in independent wrestling and doing some indie shows, I reached out after the transition to Bruce Tharp from the National Wrestling Alliance. Bruce Tharp and his group had just purchased it, and I reached out to them since I did websites, and I wound up starting as the webmaster and working my way into doing all of the media, promotions, flyers, logos. I eventually created the NWA Ringside magazine in 2014. That was like 2014, 2015. I was kind of the layout editor, all that. We had actually hired Dan Murphy from PWI. He was our editor-in-chief for the actual magazine. Him and a guy named Colby Primo, who was big with one of the old owners of the NWA. I stayed with them for quite a while. Then I had some personal issues happen, and I left. And then obviously Bruce had eventually sold it to Billy Corgan, who now has it and is trying to.
Yes,
it's
he
a whole
does.
different style.
Yes.
Everybody else tried to do the territories. Billy bought it and made it more of a glorified independent, using the name and the prestige. I'm actually kind of excited because he's got wrestling. Okay. He's got wrestling at the Chase coming back. First time in years. Sorry, I got a 4-year-old that's playing.
That's okay. We got those too, so that's okay.
I hide in the basement. That's all I can do.
I'm hiding on the porch. We're relegated to the far wings of the house. That's how we deal with it, right? So,
I gave beer to mine, so he's asleep.
good move. Powerful. They do things differently in Brazil. That's normal. So,
But
actually, that was normal in Ireland.
a little bit.
I'd say 20 years ago.
I bet probably still is. You just left. That's all.
Yeah.
probably got more extreme.
Yeah.
Give him some Baileys. Baileys and a chaser. Yeah, here you go, buddy.
Sorry, Will. What were you saying?
Oh, no, you're fine.
That's what
I was
happens,
just gonna
Will.
go-
That's what we do here.
Hey,
Yeah, no,
hey,
we are
I
drunk
enjoy it.
kids.
It's fun. My kid interrupts me all the time, so I get it. Rios is going to eventually kill me if I don't ever get this script finished and get it over to him, which he's occupied right now with your dead ball, so that helps out. But
All right, perfect. So we're happy to help.
But I know he keeps asking me. He's like, "Where's the script at? Where's the script?" I was like, "It's almost there. I'm getting there."
Because
I sent him the
that needs
outline the
a
other day.
follow-up.
I kind of focused on this Kickstarter, and right now I'm in that in between stage of, is this thing going to get funded? Is it not going to get funded? Either way, I've already decided that this isn't going anywhere. If it doesn't get funded, it's 100% done already. I'll go back to my team, me and Rios, to sit down and talk. We'll decide which method we want to go, whether we want to go Indiegogo or do we want to just launch it on demand. There's a variety of options out there, especially with this being 100% done. However,
Well, we're going to help you get into New England. So
100% done. So
yeah, we're going to help you get up into New England. So we're on board.
We get this thing funded. It's going to hit print a lot faster. So I mean, everybody listening, if you haven't backed it yet, check it out. It's professional wrestling meets Dexter. I took wrestling like this, and it's not necessarily 80s style, obviously, but there is. You caught John the other day some hidden Easter eggs that are in there for 90s wrestlers. Hold on, just one.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. We're gonna try to help get you up in New England. So we love it.
Playing.
Yeah.
So
there's some nice
script out.
Easter eggs in here for the wrestling nerd fans.
We say nerd graciously and kindly.
Oh, I'm a nerd. I'm a wrestling nerd. Yes, I don't mean that in a mean way. Yeah.
No, not at all. That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
I was messaging Will. I'm like, hey, I saw this and this, So it's kind of cool. But anyway, sorry.
Well, and what's funny is some of this was actually not planned. Some of this was, I had a scene of what I wanted, kind of an idea, like the poster. It wasn't planned for it to be the person that it was. It was literally just, hey, I want a poster in his cubicle, wrestling promo, da-da-da-da. Rios came up with this under research and some images and stuff like that, but Rios came up with it. The match on the TV, Rios drew the likenesses the way they are, which is good for little homages in there that are hidden, Easter eggs, and I love things like that. And then there's a scene that's actually on the Kickstarter. It's a flashback scene with with Ethan and his parents when Ethan was a young kid. Rio secured himself in the future of the comic by making himself the father.
I don't mean to scroll through all this, but actually, real quick, the right here. So that's the image you were talking about in his cubicle, which.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone that's a wrestling fan from the 80s, 90s will catch that for sure. So, but where? Oh, geez, I don't want to scroll through it too quick, but I want to show the scene you're referring to. Oh,
Beautiful art, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rogerio
Yeah, I
crushed
thought
it.
it was still on there. It may not be on there.
Yeah, thank you.
I may have took it off after changing out some of the wrestling scenes.
Yeah. I don't see
I know
it.
it's in the video. I don't know if I took it off. I've been updating this campaign because when I launched it, obviously I didn't know what I know now. And I've been constantly updating and revamping and trying to keep it current and fresh, but also learning.
Yeah. I freaking love the pig scene, by the way. It's so dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ruggiero put his beautiful face in the book.
Pretty man.
Hey, you're,
Well, it
you're your
helps
best
out-
model. You're your best model. Why wouldn't you?
Well, and it helps out because we released prior to launch, and there's a link inside at the top of the Kickstarter. We released a Heel Turn Number 0. It's a 5-page, black and white only mini comic. It's an origin story, so to speak. But it's Ethan's very first human kill. It's what starts the serial killing aspect. The first person he kills, and things like that. And I thought I needed to bring that out there. One, just because I wanted some free comics so people can kind of see my style, Rios' style, and everything like that. And then it also ties in with this comic. After you read the whole thing, you start seeing a little bit, you catch on to things. This is a 7-book series. The last page of number 7 is already written, and I've already got the layout of the entire series basically done. I just need to get in there and start scripting it. But with this, we're only, as of check earlier, we had 60 backers, and we were like $650, $645, something like that, away from goal. And we end Monday evening. I'll be doing a live, probably over with Pops and those guys. But I'll be doing some sort of live countdown for that, and I'm hoping to be a lot closer by then. I've been talking
that was
with
one
several
thing I think we
people.
learned with Yule, right? Is like you can do we had ours end at 10 a.m. and it's not like we could do a live countdown in the middle of the day, so in the morning. So having that opportunity to be like prime time on a show and just try to get a couple extra backers at the end, that's huge. I love this page, by the way. That's why I stopped here.
Also, we have to give the credit to Bacta on Bear's studio. Like he's done a great color work
out of India.
Yeah, I love his colors.
Yeah, and anybody that doesn't know B's studio, they are from India, and they are the ones that done the colors to the Killaroo series. An Australian writer, Darren Close. He had actually a pretty good Killaroo Kickstarter, and I think Young Killaroo is currently on Kickstarter. But he's the one that introduced me to Baca with Bees, and they're the ones that did all the coloring and drawing for him. And Bees definitely took what Rios was able to do in black and white. And I almost made this black and white, but I decided that the color would definitely be add that other element, especially with how colorful professional wrestling is. And then I always wanted to have blood in there, and you can't have true black and white and have blood and get the same feeling and effect out of there a lot of the times.
Before you were on, Will, we talked about that with Deadball. I don't know if you were listening or not at that point, but we talked about how his work with Deadball. It's like, man, we kind of want to do a black and white edition. This is awesome.
Well, and that's why I wrote that origin story. I love this one in black and white, but I'm like, the color aspect helps out a lot more, and I'm like, I need Rios to do something heel turn wise in black and white. So I went ahead and we made that origin story for multiple reasons, and the black and white just gives it another element, especially with that flashback, the origin, which what the origin story basically is, a flashback on his life. And I've got some pages planned where it's gonna be full color, and then there's gonna be some black and white scenes, just because he has that unique, the cross hatching, and all the different styles that he puts into even one page, let alone just a panel.
That first, I love that first panel, and that reminds me of the closet scene, Ruggiero and Deadball. Just the way you do the lighting in there, man, like it just looks so cool. Did you?
Yeah,
I
and the
don't
other
know
cool
if you
thing
saw that
is
message,
this
Joel.
is something you can.
Sorry, Rusty was
Oh,
just
go
saying that link we have at the bottom wasn't pulling up heel turn
I'm
for
on
some
it.
reason. All right,
I'm on
cool.
it, buddy. I'm fixing it.
All right, sorry.
Sorry about that. I didn't want
Yeah, I
anybody
was
to
gonna say there
just.
should be an inked.
I didn't want anybody to miss out. So that
No,
in
no, I
case they
appreciate
Well,
you
wanted to.
calling
thank
that
you.
out.
Now, thank you very much
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Will, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
ink.pub/hill turn's a good link.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Ink.pub/hill turn's a good link. That one I will, as soon as I'm off the show, I will go in, investigate. Might be having an issue with hosting. I originally started hosting with 1-in-1, and I'm not very happy with their platform, so I'm going to be changing shortly. I've had more downtime than uptime with those guys. So I'm gonna be changing that real quick. But no, ink.pub/Hill Turn's a good link, or the Kickstarter link itself. You can just search Hill Turn. Go to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all at Hill Turn Comic, and I got it linked all over that place. You should definitely be able to find a link somewhere. Like I said, we're only like $645 backers or $645 away from funding. It can be done in 4 days. It
Yeah,
doesn't
Ken.
need till Monday evening. I definitely think that it can be done. We actually were just put on the curated list for Geek Insider. They added us to theirs. Comic Wellspring, who's going to be our printer, actually does a little spotlight. They released earlier today on their Instagram a little spotlight video that they did to all their fans and other creators that they print, which is kind of awesome. And so I'm getting out there. I definitely learned a lot with this Kickstarter, no matter which way it goes. We actually had a pledger earlier today edit his goal and actually choose a different higher package level, which is always
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah,
as
that's
for
cool
like
to see.
what I was talking about earlier with Rusty, I wanted to incorporate, when I did the wrestling, I wanted the wrestling moves incorporated. I want people to, when you look at, like, for instance, you look at that panel, there's hardly any kind of lettering. Yes, I could have put some sound effects in there with the crowd and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of lettering going on right there. But you look at that, you can kind of already, if you've ever watched professional wrestling, you already hear the sounds just by looking at the panel. You already kind of get the idea of what's going on. Now, the final one, we did add a little bit of lettering. There's not a lot, but we added some sound effects into it for the final panel on that one.
I love that
But
dropkick panel. That lighting coming from behind just looks so cool.
Great focal point. It's awesome composition.
yeah, my two favorite panels, ironically, okay, I've got a couple, but my two most favorite ones, wrestling scene wise, is that one, and then I haven't shown it on there. I've shown it on my Facebook and stuff. Is the wrestling entrance? It's the
Oh yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah,
That was
that
cool.
was a lot of work, but I
I
love
bet,
that.
man. I was looking at that and like seeing the ring and the crowd, and I'm like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, he actually blew me away when he did that. When I described it, that's what I described. However, I was expecting it to be, I guess, not as elaborate, maybe a little bit more zoomed in, so there wasn't as much detail. Just because of the artist, not because he couldn't do it. It's just at the same time, you know, you don't want to kill your artist with a whole lot of detail in every panel.
Right.
They don't want to be your artist if you do that all the time. But he definitely took that and blew it up. And like this panel, for instance, going with Rusty with the independent scene, I wanted to add some of the intermission, getting to know your fans aspect that you don't really get on mainstream hardly anymore. And then obviously, you read this, John. This is vital to the storyline as well. But I mean, I wanted to give an aspect of, you know, wrestlers, especially indie wrestlers, they live for their fans because, one, that's how they make their money. And two, even if they never make it mainstream, they do it more. It's like comics. If you never make it mainstream, you do it more for the love than you do the money, because we all know you don't make money for a while, if you make money at all. So, yes.
I never even thought about money when I was wrestling.
It was just fun. Like that was my dream job as a kid. Besides writing, when I got a little older, I wanted to be a wrestler my whole life. We even did some backyard wrestling stuff as a kid. Which, yeah, that's.
I remember sleeping on buses, sleeping in the back seat of cars, sleeping in locker rooms. We would sleep it when we were in Texas. It was so hot we had to sleep in the shower because the tile was cool underneath. We'd lay some towels out and sleep in there. We used to have the $1.99 roadside chicken dinners and the 99-cent breakfasts at in the casinos. So never even thought about money. Like when I was wrestling in Vegas, half the time they would give us script. They wouldn't even give us money.
Yeah.
That's like having a rock and roll band.
I was going to say, that reminds me of my days on tour with my
That's
band
right.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
But
Same
we used to put a cooler between the two front van seats, and that was my bed. I would sleep across the two buckets. So that's probably why my back is screwed up now, and I go to the chiropractor from the months on tour. 5,000 miles a week, man, in a van with us and another band and two bands worth of equipment. We're sleeping on each other, and that thing smelled terrible. You can only imagine. So
I was just drinking too. My body gets numb. Then I would sleep anywhere.
I always
Right.
tell everybody I have the best story in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I actually got put out of wrestling by an injury by a referee. It was the referee that actually injured me. So it's like, what was your greatest match? Well, when the referee crapped on me and I was done.
always the way, right?
Right.
Yep.
A former wrestler.
This is a perfect combination, having a guy that used to wrestle on with, while we're talking about wrestling comics.
Yeah.
So this was all on purpose, everybody. This was planned.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So,
we had this
Good
up our
timing.
sleeve the whole time.
yeah.
Well, and like I always wanted to be a professional wrestler myself, but I was fortunate enough to design. I would be behind the scenes and do designs and stuff like that. My big claim to fame right now is a lot of these guys that I ever worked with and designed stuff for, they're just now making it big on TV. I did but there's 5 T-shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com that I designed for. It's Lance Archer now, but Lance Hoyt. He was in New Japan, and I used to design his shirts that they sold like hotcakes in Japan. He was over there.
That's great.
And then he comes
huge
out
there.
here, and his Everybody Dies Chokeslam T-shirt, I actually designed, and that's the T-shirt he was wearing when he debuted on TNT for AEW.
That's great.
So I was like, that was kind of cool to see on there. And then Ray Rowe, who is WWE's Eric with the Viking Raiders, quite a few years, I think it was 2014, 2015, he had a major motorcycle accident where somebody pulled out in front of him and he went through the back of the windshield and shoulder checked the headrest of the driver and broke his vertebrae, his back and neck and everything like that. They told him he would never wrestle. He wound up proving them wrong. Well, and actually the doctors even said that wrestling is probably what saved him from being a paraplegic for life, because his body had already was built up for taking all the bumps and stuff like that. His muscles were able to absorb a lot of the impact that a normal person would not be able to take. Well, he worked through.
That's like what happened. That's like what happened to Ric Flair. Ric Flair had a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
He had gotten hurt in the ring, and he had no problem recovering from it. He was on an airplane, and the airplane crashed, and they checked him out at the hospital, up and down, sideways. Nothing was a problem. He was scheduled for a match later that week. He got in the locker room. He sneezed and he broke his neck.
Oh no!
Yeah.
They said that he would never. They said that because a sneeze is this. If some people have powerful sneezes. They're actually harder. They're actually harder than whiplash. So he was told, "Wow, you better never wrestle again." That was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, and look at him, right?
And now look at
Right.
him.
That's funny. In
One of the
bad
biggest
way.
one of the biggest perverts in the sport, but yeah, look at him now.
I've heard
Yeah,
some
I mean,
stories.
yeah.
It's. I would love to drink a beer with that guy and just talk to him, but
I never got to meet. That's one guy I didn't get to meet. I got to ride with Bobby Eaton, and I definitely heard my stories about Ric Flair from Bobby, from their days traveling all around the same area. As part of when he was Midnight Express, they were right there, they were just as hot as Ric Flair. They weren't his big name, obviously, but they were just as hot.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on the hated side, but they definitely got him. He told me his stories. I mean, he told me a story about how Ric Flair still owes him money for taking off the car door of his rental car at the airport by hitting it. Didn't shut his
I thought
door
he ripped
fast
it off.
enough, and
I
Rick's like,
pictured him
I'm
ripping
going.
it off. Yeah, I pictured him like just grabbing the thing and just like hulking that thing off the car. Like,
Oh, Ric Flair would chop
Well,
it
I
off.
guess-
You know.
yeah, right.
What happened, what I was told has happened is Bobby was getting the car, and I guess Rick was trying to rib him or something and just opened the door, the passenger door. Well, Bobby was still in the car, so he had to get out and all that stuff. By this time, Rick decided he was going to leave, and I don't know if Bobby says that he doesn't even know if it was a 100% accident, but Rick knew it was there because he stopped. Well, Rick decided to drive, and when he backed out, took the passenger door with him. And Rick said he would pay for it, and then obviously Bobby said to this day he's still waiting on that. But
we
used to
rented
joke,
a
I was like,
car
well,
one
now
time.
Rick don't have the money anymore. He has too many divorces.
We rented a car one time in San Diego, and one of the biggest wrestlers at the time was Dr. Jerry Graham. He was the uncle of superstar Billy Graham, who was the champion at WWF at the time. And he was like 600 pounds. And we put him in the car along with a bunch of other wrestlers. We drove down to San Diego area where George de la Isla, Mr. Mexico, had his gym. And we did a wrestling taping with guys like Pistol Pez Watley and Barry Horowitz, guys like that, Brooklyn Brawler. Yeah. And when we were driving back, we took one bump, and the side of the car that Jerry Graham was on, all the shocks died. So the car was completely tipped to that side, and the tires were rubbing against the frame. So everybody got out, went to a Denny's. I drove the car back to like the Hertz rent-a-car place. I pulled it in backwards in the driveway so that they would only see the one side, not the broken side. I threw the keys through the door and ran. And that was it. They tried to bill me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened. It must have been one of your parking attendants." I said, "We drove it back with a full tank of gas, and it was in perfect condition." This thing was laying on the ground like a two-legged dog. It was like hysterical. And,
that's a hot look now with the kids, man. That's the tuners are doing that on purpose now, I think. Right? So.
You're bringing back Barry Horowitz, man. You're bringing back memories. Barry Horowitz and Brooklyn Brawler were like the two biggest. I don't want to call them jobbers because isn't that like that's like you don't say that word. I don't know enhancement talents. I don't know what you want to call them, but those guys they made a living just off getting people over and just like making the crowd hate them.
They were extremely important because you can be a good guy or you could be a heel, baby face or heel, but the audience will always know you as a good guy or a bad guy. When it came to squash matches, if it wasn't for these guys that help put people over, there would be no audience participation with the signs and with the merchandise and crowds like cheering names and crowds going along with bits like cup your hand in your ear and on and on and on. Those gimmicks came from guys like that. And a lot of them worked behind the scenes to do other things. Some of them were trainers. Some of them were warm-up guys. Some of them were medics. So, they were extremely important. Yep. Vince McMahon did something for wrestling, kind of like the innovations that Stan Lee did for comics. A lot of people don't know. He created the persona of a babyface being put over, but not having a title. Because everybody would look at an organization and say, who's the heavyweight champion? Who's the tag team champions? Who's the intercontinental champion? He would put guys out like, Ricky Steamboat, Junkyard Dog. They didn't have titles, and they were put over, and they were huge, and the fans loved them. Why didn't they get a title? Why didn't they get a title? Why did they lose? That kind of thing. Then when they eventually got titles, they were working on a whole new generation of wrestler at the time. Same thing with Stan Lee. Stan Lee actually created the comic book store. He had comics out there, and people would read an issue, and there'd be like an editorial box in the center, like the bottom or the top of a panel, and it would be like somebody would mention Magneto, and it would be, Magneto appeared in issue 241, Smiling Stan, that kind of thing. Well, if it wasn't for those scratch boxes, as they call them, those editorial boxes, there wouldn't have been no comic store to go look for. At least 20 to 25% of the comics at the time that he was doing the editorial stuff were sold because people were looking for those back issues.
Yeah.
So he would constantly refer to old stuff. But McMahon innovated the jobber. If it wasn't for that, because famous guys would be losing. And
well, look at so like the other thing too, like when a jobber would go over too, you would be just like, remember 1-2-3 Kid beating Razor Ramon, and people lost their shit,
Right.
So, and that just that's not a thing anymore. There's no, if there's a jobber match, if there's an enhancement match, they're getting destroyed.
Listen, jobbers, squash matches, whatever you want to refer to them, that was McMahon's way of pushing merchandise. If it wasn't for, when Savage jumped off and did that big elbow drop and on and on and on, his T-shirts sold. But no star would like to see their fame, hacked into by letting some other star smash them around, and it would take the polish off of it. It would take the shine off of their career. So those guys help sell T-shirts.
And nowadays, the enhancements, jobbers, whatever, they're being used. There are a lot of indie guys that are known in that area, and a lot of them, even though they're not actual tryout matches, producers and stuff are watching them to see how they host. Yeah, they're getting destroyed, but how do they handle the crowd? How do they handle the camera angle? How are they handling getting destroyed? Because a lot of these guys, they'll be on there, then they'll get called back again the next time they're in town. And eventually they might get offered a tryout to come down, like now they have NXT and stuff. But yeah, they've been doing that it started, like he was saying, just to kind of help sell merchandise and get guys over. And now it's getting guys over, but at the same time, it's looking to see if they got a diamond in the rough, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
I apologize. I didn't mean to turn this into a wrestling conversation, but I kind of did because I knew we had two wrestling guys on, and
how can it not?
That's what I grew up on. So
come on.
I was looking forward to turning a little bit of a wrestling angle here. So, but so thanks for that.
No problem. I'm gonna have to get off of here in just a few minutes. My phone's dying. It's like at 5%. So
yeah, do you want me to? So I want to scroll through here for you because I want you to be able to.
Yeah, let's blast through this thing real quick. And
so first of all, this, and I don't think we promote this enough. Unfortunately, we did at the beginning, but I don't even know. Will, has anyone even reached out to you that's backed both of us? Because this is such a unique thing.
I know there's a few people that have actually backed both comics. Nobody's actually reached out to me directly and said they did. But I know I've seen a couple of comments here and there where they said that, hey, I posted on there or whatever. They're like, yeah, I backed them. I've also, I've already backed you all. I'm backing you guys. But yeah, if anybody, I know your campaign's over now, but if you back them we still got till Monday. If you back us at a physical level, you get that print. Even if we don't make our goal, you're still getting that print. I'll make sure I work with the Livid guys and we get you that print.
Think about it. We had 90 something. We had 90 something backers, right? We had 97, I think, backers.
Mm-hmm.
If any of them are watching that haven't backed you yet, like this is going to be a very limited edition print that you'll never get. Again, this is only available to people that backed both campaigns on the physical level. So
smart idea.
Yeah, everybody wants limited stuff, man. It doesn't get more limited than that.
And a little bit about this print. I mean, Rios drew it. It's obviously a crossover between Ethan from Hill Turn and Will from Yule. Rios drew it. I just wanted to draw a crossover. I didn't have any references. He asked me to reach out to them, and that's when he hooked up with Joel and them and got some reference images to make sure that it's accurate. And between him and Joel, Rios drew it and Joel colored the hell out of it. and I love it. I mean, I kind of want one for myself. I'm going to wind up getting
Yeah, it might
one.
happen
But,
behind the scenes right too. So, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it looks good, and obviously our storylines are two different storylines, but it just happened both because they're somewhat realistic. Obviously, there's a little bit more magical stuff in your comic than ours, but it plays into that aspect. Plus, when I found out that they were going to use Rios on some upcoming projects, that I mean, I definitely wanted him to. One, it kind of got his work seen a little bit more by his fans, which obviously in turn helps us. But I just loved his work, and I wanted Joel to do something, but he's so busy trying to, to get everything ready on his end that I knew he couldn't really probably squeeze in another art piece because he's got enough he's doing right now. So I'd try to get it in there. And unfortunately, I can do graphic design, but when it comes to art like this, I can do stick figures, and that's about it.
Yeah, actually, I was quite familiar with the guys. I've been following them for a few months, and like Joel, he's a natural.
I think you turned me on to them.
Probably, yeah. Like he's a nice, how would I say, presenter. Like he has an enticing way of conducting people talking to each other, and I was kind of captured with his persona, and second by his art. I said, all right, this is really cool. And I was following everything that he was posting on Facebook. And then there was this connection that was, I don't know who started that. I think it was me, I don't know. And then we just kept on talking, and here we are together, like doing this crossover.
It's cool.
In a very exciting project, which I love. I think that ball is it's a ball, and I'm very excited to draw in it. And like there has some kind of how would I say, those guys are for real, and you can feel that. Like when you talk to them, and say that there's no bull, I can say the same about Will, and I'm sure that Rusty is here for the same reason. Like we are doing real comics to entertain people, to make people happy, because we want to put smiles on faces. We want to put horror on their faces. Want to bring some feelings. Like we don't want to get unnoticed. We want to make our mark, and it's just a matter of time until we hit it, And I think we're on the right path.
I want to tie it back to Barry Horowitz here and tell Joel to pat himself on the back, because if anyone knows who Barry Horowitz is, that's a good reference there. But so when we were looking at Deadball, Joel knew he couldn't do 2 books at once. He's working on Yule 2. He's crushing it. And we wanted to work with another artist, and I posted on a bunch of groups like, hey, we're interested in working with somebody. I got like 75 replies. I never expected that. And I'm sitting there trying to reply to everybody. And from day one, Joel was talking about you. He said he's followed us all along. His artwork's great. Like we should really, take a look at this. And we made the right decision, 100%. We got a co-host now out of it, so it's all, it all works out. So
yes, it's a pleasure.
Oh yeah, I definitely plan on working with you guys in the future a lot together. I know I talked to you quite a bit, John. Definitely passing different ideas and writing stuff. I've learned that it's always good to have some good creators that you can trust, stuff like that you can bounce ideas and just run different things by each other. There's some out there that they're good creators. I just don't know them. I haven't talked with them enough. But something about you guys, when I first met you, it just clicked. And I appreciate you helping push us. I mean, I know you love the story, but I appreciate you helping us push it, even if you try to steal my artist from me. No, I'm kidding.
I can't draw it all. That's all it is. I just can't draw it all.
As long as I can tag
it's an open relationship.
As long as I can tag along, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Always. There's always
Well, I don't know
room
if you
for
heard Joel
everybody.
talk about it, because I think you have a slight delay, Will, but Joel was saying earlier, like, we want to get your book up here in New England too. So when we get our con, like, we'd love to get that on our table to get that up in this region. So this isn't a territory situation for all you wrestling fans. Like, we want to spread the word. So that's my last wrestling. That's my last wrestling reference. I promise.
Like I said,
I'm sorry.
How far away are you from each
If you
other?
have any questions whatsoever, me, I'm quite a ways.
Yeah, Will's in the middle of the country. We're up in the Northeast, right? So we're up that way. Near Boston.
I don't
area.
know. It might be almost the same amount of distance to them as it is to you, Rios. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it might
I don't
be.
doubt it. I don't doubt it. No.
But the internet, brings everybody close, right? I mean, here we are. So,
It's here.
Right.
yeah, it's awesome.
I think I would change this meeting here to a podcast. Because
Right?
I don't go out. I'm here and I'm still drinking. So
I'm just drinking iced coffee. Iced coffee tonight, so that's it.
This is why you don't sleep.
Joel stays up till 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's left over from lunch, to be honest with you. So,
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, whatever. Talk to my wife. I'll eat or drink anything. So I'm that guy. So she's like, "This is gross. You can have it." I'm like, "Okay," and I'll eat it. So. I've been on tour, man. You take whatever you can get, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to Rios. I got a slight delay, but my phone's got 2%, so it's gonna die here in a minute.
All right, buddy.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, we end on Monday. You can find us. The link is updated down there in the bottom, a short link for you that I know works. And you got any questions, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. It's all at Heel Turn Comics. If you can't find us, ask John or Joel. They'll definitely push you my direction, and I'll answer any questions I can. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Rios, you can take over. I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Nice meeting you, buddy.
On.
Yeah, thanks for your time tonight, Will. Appreciate it, man.
Talk
Best
to
of
you
luck.
soon.
Yep, nice meeting you. And I added you, Rusty, so we can chat sometime.
Cool. I would enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it. I was hoping that, I could ask him for money later on, I'd be like, hey,
I've been trying
if
to
you
do
want to,
that.
if you want to chat, it's $5.99 and 99 cents per minute afterwards. And
You have a 900 number? 1-900
Yeah.
Rusty?
The old,
my bill collectors are anxiously awaiting that. 1-900 Rusty sucks. I can imagine that my ex-wife is probably buying the domain for that one right now.
Oh no!
Hey, everybody but here, other than John, has the ex-wife club, so that's kind of neat. So we had the start.
Hey, if she's watching right now, I don't know. She's upstairs. She could be watching Dateline or us. There's a 50-50 chance. So
I say it's a starter wife. We got our errors out of the way. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right,
How long have you been married, John?
we're going on 10 years, but we have a 7-year-old and 3-year-old, so I don't know.
That's great. That's
No,
great.
it's too late to step off.
Yeah, right.
Too late. Sorry.
Yeah.
She keeps renewing my contract every year, so I keep telling her, I'm like, I've been letting her down for 11 years, but she keeps, so,
Yeah.
What the guy say?
You're not watching them right now. They're on their computer doing a podcast right now with all the other wives.
The wives.
And,
Oh, yeah,
and it's like,
sure, why not?
And it's like husbands suck. And all they're doing is just talking about us. And they're like, he really stinks in bed. Yeah, it's terrible. And
They can use it against us.
all he does is drink iced coffee. God damn.
10 at night.
Not
Yeah.
me.
Rusty, I made the joke. I don't know if it was last week's show or a week before that, but how my wife would be like, "Hey, did you remember to call the groomer for the place we're going to leave the dogs when we go on vacation?" And I'll be like, "No, but I thought of this cool storyline for a comic book today." Like, it's like, it's like, so. That's,
Yeah, I
You
got
have
the
to
wife
take
into
notes.
it. Yeah,
That's where a punch in the arm turns into a kick in the balls fast. I'm telling you right now. You go from 0 to screw you in 1 second.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've got my wife involved with the books now, so she's reading what I bring in. So that's good. So she's cool.
cool.
She wants to come on the show at some point. Like, John and I got some people we want to bring on, some authors. She likes horror novels, so we want to bring in some people. And she's like, I got some questions for them. You got to put me on the show. I'm like, all right, you can come on the show.
I wouldn't have gotten back into doing work if it wasn't for mine. I was injured. I was flat on my back for a couple of years. I sat in front of the computer and wasted away. And then all of a sudden, just one day, she brought a kitten into the house. That's what I based my comic book on. And it kind of woke me up. I was taking care of this disabled kitten. And I started doing stuff. I started writing stories again. I started doing artwork. People forgot about me. I mean, that was it. I ran a magazine when I lived in Las Vegas. And we were doing just as good as Wizard for years. And then I basically dropped it. And when I moved to New York again and then Pennsylvania, I was basically out of everything. And, she goes to shows with me, helps me set up. She does a lot of work with the stuff that I do. It's great. Everything from a crutch to a sounding board, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There is no such thing as the woman behind the man. I think of it more as this is a partner, and I couldn't have done anything by myself. There would have been no way. Those 2-3 moves in to get me out of bed and get me going, I would have been gone. I probably would have been 6 feet under at this time. And that was about, I'd say that was about 10, 11 years ago. So
she'd love to hear that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
My wife will.
You have to tell people every day that you appreciate them, because you never know what day is the last day and you didn't say it. I have four boys. I have 4 boys. They're all grown up. I still tell them I love them. I still hug them. I don't care who the hell is in the room. I don't care how it sounds. I don't care how drippy or how much they complain about me. I still do it. I still give them a hard time. I still yell at them for fun, on and on and on. I think that's the best thing. I do still pull jokes and say stupid things on and on, because I think people lost that personal touch.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Rusty.
I enjoy my family very much. I had a very hard upbringing, so having a family is my gift.
Yeah, my wife will do the model. She'll do the modeling for the art, right? Sometimes I'll be stuck on a scene, say I want this angle, but I can't get it visual. I know in my head how to do it. She'll get dressed up in the character and she'll pose and
she
does all that stuff. Or I'll say like, John wants this panel and I just can't see it, and she'll come out with something. She'll be like, do it from this angle or do it over here. So she's really involved with a lot of it too, creatively, kind of behind the scenes. And she's definitely my biggest fan, and she's become more of like an influencer for us too. Right. She's done a couple little videos and things, and I don't ask her to do that, guys. So if you see her doing that, that's all on her. And I'm just like,
that's great.
That's totally awesome.
She's very present there on social media, like giving you support. That's lovely. Yeah. That's great.
Which is awesome because she's very quiet in real life, but she goes online and just nails these little promo clips that she does.
That's great.
She's a very private person. Like if you guys came over and met her, you'd be like, I don't think she likes me. I'm like, no, dude, like she just needs to warm up to you.
I met her one time, and she seemed really quiet and just like low key. So yeah. Oh. Bye, Joel.
She pulled the plug. She pulled the plug on him.
I hope he hasn't gotten sick like the last time. Remember that?
Oh yeah, we had it last week. He texted like,
he pulled off the show and he's okay.
There he is.
There I am. So occasionally this system, it just for whatever reason, my browser shuts down at about the 2 hour and 15 mark. I don't know why, but
I told everybody. I said, she pulled the plug on him.
Maybe she did. That's plausible.
Let's end it on a good. Yeah, she's like, that's the nicest thing you'll say all night. We're done. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it did that on the last show too. It's strange.
That was it. That was it. Dinner. Bye.
Yeah. It's probably like the FBI watching me or something. I'm on some watch list now or something. Who knows, right? So,
we didn't say anything controversial.
No, it doesn't say anything up here. They'll just pull you. They'll cancel culture, right? So,
he's got
got a good relationship with his wife? Like, we're gonna pull that plug.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Yeah.
Not allowed in the industry. No.
The comic book that I'm doing is being turned into an animated film, and my producer is in the UK, and the promo for it is up now online. And one part of it she actually wrote, and she just all it was she said something funny about the real life cats. Like, imagine if one said this to the other. And I took that and ran with it, and it became part of the promo. And the funny thing is, the promo is made up of 2 parts, and everybody loves the part that she did. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm yesterday's milk. That's good to hear. You know,
That's a gray hair now.
Yeah, my wife's writing a story for us too, and she has that typical, first story jitters. Like, I don't think it's that good. Nobody's gonna. I'm like, it's great, it's great. And she doesn't believe me. She's like, you're just saying that. I'm like, no, it's good. It's got wings. So let's run with it. Yeah,
it's all part of the process. Somebody wants to write something for you, and they have honest intentions. They come up with a good idea. Even the most experienced, seasoned writer needs to be edited, be honed, have something added to it or taken back from it, whatever. First-time writing jitters means that they have a passion, because if they didn't give a damn, they wouldn't give a damn.
That's right.
it.
That's true. That's true.
Like the writers that are their own worst critics are probably going to be the better writers, because they're critiquing every freaking thing. I submitted a few short stories, and like I would go back and I would just obsess over them. I'm like, man, I should have freaking done this, and this. Like, so it's just that's
John. The same goes for any artist.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to improve is just being, critical about your own work.
Right.
Because like if you only get compliments, like you don't go anywhere. Like all your friends.
You have to get to the realization that if somebody rejects you, it's not your art that they're rejecting. You don't fit that slot. That's it.
Like when you know you're good, and that's all. Keep doing it.
That's it. And it took me a very long time, decades. It took me a very long time to learn that if you don't want my art, screw you. Rather than saying, oh, God, that was terrible, blah, 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 blah. No, because every time, see, this is going to sound funny, and I don't mean it to be in any way, shape, or form, but I don't do tests anymore. I don't do samples. I don't do any of that. I tell people, this is my art. This is what it looks like. Judge me on what I've done. If you don't like it, thanks. That's it.
That's it.
I sent John in one of the Facebook chats. I sent him some pages that I inked, some popular stuff, like I did image work and on and on and on and on. And when I do, like when people ask me, well, what is your inking like? And I send them some varied samples. I like to do inking based on the artist, and then I add my own style to it over that. I don't change what they look like. So like I was good friends with Joe Sinnott, and people would say, oh, Joe Sinnott, you could always tell when Joe inked Jack Kirby. And I'm like, really? How? Oh, well, he did this, and he does this kind of a line. He does this kind of shading. They can't do that with my work, because from one book to the next, it's always different, because I work with the artist's work. I don't believe in changing their work unless it's bad. I mean, like, a leg doesn't bend that way, dumbass, then and then I got to redraw the leg. But it's just that way. I like to enhance their work. They got hired for their penciling, so that's set in stone. So I enhance what they do. I don't change it. If somebody doesn't want your work, it's not you. It really isn't. There's an audience for everything out there. There really is, for everyone and everything out there. Whether you draw a picture and your mom puts it on a magnet on the refrigerator or it winds up being the cover of a magazine, everything has a slot to fill. Yeah. And sometimes I run across artists and they're like, oh, crap, I can't get work. I've been doing this for months and, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, months? Geez, it took me years.
Right.
If you're worried about months, Well, you're just eating the topping of the ice cream. You haven't gotten to the cone yet. What's wrong with you? You know,
took me 40 years to find my overnight success, right? So
right.
Yeah.
My overnight success is not getting up to go to the bathroom twice.
What was that like for you, Rusty, to go
How
from?
should you do it?
What was it like for you going from, just like as a fan, just doing your own thing, to getting some big work like that? What was that moment like for you?
In the 70s, comic shows were different, and the industry was different. When you would go to a comic show, there was no toys, there was no shirts, there wasn't anything like that. It was boxes and boxes, rows and rows of tables, comics everywhere, nickel bins, dime bins, on and on and on. That was it. Every once in a great while, there'd be a poster, or there'd be something, that the retailers would get from the dealers. The biggest change in the industry for shows would be like a page. Oh, here's a Jack Kirby page from Fantastic Four 49, blah, 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 blah. So when you're a fan, you only know the industry one way. That's it. The arrow hits the bullseye. There is no other spot on the bullseye on the target to hit. So when I started out, I was doing artwork for flyers for shows. I did artwork for ads for Comics Buyer's Guide. And I did a number of, pieces for anything I could get my hands on. A garage sale sign, picture of Superman, and, Batman logo or Spider-Man logo for, some comic store with a flyer, 2 for 1 or whatever. It was different. And today I run across guys and I see posts like this all the time, and it just burns my ass when I see it. They're like, what would be your goal? Who would you love to draw? Well, they're like, oh, I'd love to draw Spider-Man. I'd love to draw X-Men, blah, 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 blah. Back then when we aspired to do Iron Man, Captain America, Superman, whatever, that was all we had. That was it. There was one mountain and there was one mountaintop. Today, with the inception of the internet and chat rooms and blah, 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 you'd walk in and I don't want to work for Marvel. I don't want to work for DC. I want to put my own book out. I don't want to, I don't care about Iron Man. Marvel doesn't care about Iron Man because they have restarted it so many times. DC doesn't care about Superman. There's like 10 different Supermans. They've all restarted. He's in love with Lois Lane. He's married to Lois Lane. He's screwing Wonder Woman in another reality. He's a white guy in one. He's a black guy in another. He's a Chinese guy in a third. He's a frog in a fourth. Who the fuck cares? So I'm like, if they don't respect their characters, why should I? And I've gotten to the point where I put out my comic, Mac in Trouble. I put out my trading card sets. I work for other companies. I just recently got done working for Topps. I'm working on a wrestling trading card set now. I'll be finished with that tomorrow. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. The editor's like, you idiot, you should have been done a week ago. I just did a voiceover for a sci-fi movie. I played a cat. And I'm going to be playing a flamingo, believe it or not, in a British cartoon in the next couple of weeks. I'm doing artwork for King Kong. So I've got like a ton of stuff that I'm doing. I don't aspire to draw Spider-Man, Captain America, Superman. My respect for the characters is at odds with the company's own respect for their property. And
they don't matter. They don't matter anymore.
No, they don't.
They're not characters. They are brands. It's different.
But I said it.
They are trying to make us swallow them. Just
right. I agree.
They are forced into us.
What I said in an article one time was, Marvel and DC are costume shops. Anything that fits into the costume, they'll run with. Look at the 6 different Captain Americas. Batman is naked. The big joke about the Batman cartoon about sex and stuff. No collector needs to see that. Who the hell cares about that stuff?
Yeah, that's correct. They have become irrelevant.
And it's okay to be a horror comic, okay? It's like the heel turn has a horror flair to it, and your comic is fantastic. There's some fantasy to it, and I think that's wonderful. But there's a difference between being a horror comic, which is directed, or a fantasy comic, which is directed, versus maturity. And when you have a comic book or a property and you make it mature, you lose part of your audience. I don't have to tell people my stuff is all ages. It's entertaining and it thrives on people being entertained. If they like horror and they want to laugh at my cats, fine. If they like fantasy and they really like my patriotic character that just had a book, fine. If they collect baseball cards and they buy my dinosaur set, fine. There's no question about if it's okay for kids. I don't do any cursing. I don't do any blood. That's a personal choice. That doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. That doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just a personal choice. And I think that the market started dictating to the fans and started dictating to the younger and newer creators what they should be doing, when, in all honesty, the fans and the newer creators, the younger creators, should be dictating to the market what they're doing. And it's just like, and a lot of people, I think they interfere with the creative process. There's too much fan interaction. Look at the Gina Carano thing with Star Wars. It was a Mandalorian. Yep. All the people that were complaining about her were Twitter crap. That wasn't fans, because there's been, look at all the people who complained, all the Twitter people, all the nonsense online, people who probably never watched the damn show, people who probably don't even give a crap about the show. All they're interested in was jumping on the bandwagon. Everybody gets a free beer. Everybody gets a free cookie. Everybody gets their 5 minutes of fame, whatever. The fans, on the other hand, love her to death, wanted her to return to the show. We're drawing her for the Star Wars sets. We're putting her on this sketch covers. We're doing prints of her. People are cosplaying her. There's a lot of girls out there who need positive role models, and they cry that they're not there, but the damn person is right in front of you, and you're slapping her down. So if you want a positive role model for your daughter, or if you're a lady and you want a positive female role model, you shouldn't be slapping her down. And it goes for everybody. It goes for everybody. It's not just her. That's just one noodle in the pot. There's a whole pot of people that have been screwed over because of, character or fan interaction. That doesn't make any sense.
One thing I like about her character, too, is that they didn't make it political, right? It wasn't like, hey, here's a female in the the Star Wars universe. Like, here she is, female right here. Like, none of that. There was no political slant. Right. A lot of times they'll do that. We'll introduce some character like that, and you could tell that it's forced. Right. Specifically for an agenda, and that sucks, because as a fan and as a viewer, I get lost in the fantasy kind of dissolves, right? And you start going, oh shit, there's a political slant to this, and this is why they're doing this. I think of a good example, whether you like her or not, is Jodie Whittaker in the Doctor Who series. Now that was a big thing to have a female doctor, right? And that was a big. I don't know. The people were up. I think she's great. I think she does a good job. The writing is a little, I'm an old Doctor Who fan all the way back, to. Tom Baker days. So, yeah,
I really like Falcon, the series that on Disney Channel. Falcon. Me too. And the Soldier. I think he put some subjects there that are really, really tricky nowadays. Racism, politics, and all that stuff that we are surrounded by. But he did it in a very elegant way, without being part of this cancellation society that we live on now.
If it was overdone, it would have lost me. I'll tell you right now, because when you watch some of this stuff, you have to enjoy your ice cream, because if your ice cream melts, all you're left with is a stick. And I'm so tired of seeing something great and then it's brought down to some base nonsense politics or somebody's agenda pushing one way or the other. I want to see a superhero show. if it brings in a little bit of reality, it has to be pertinent to the character. Captain America, who would he vote for? Would he vote Republican? Would he vote for Democrat? Would he vote for independent? You know what? I don't care. I don't care who he votes for. I don't care what's between their legs. I don't care who they vote for. I don't care who they sleep with. I want to see the Thing punch Dr. Doom in the face. I bought the book for that reason. I don't care to watch a chess match. I don't care to watch paint dry. I don't care to watch flowers wilt in the sun. I care about the book. Right. Good writing and good art will push me over the edge. I don't need to be challenged, politically or whatever.
Anyway,
I'm sorry to be so two-dimensional, but guess what? There are a number of outlets that I can go to for politics. I don't need it when I pay for it.
Do you think that when he punches the Red Skull, like he's going against Nazism, do you think that is not being a bit political in some ways?
I guess if you look back, yeah, but
you know what? They'll make it political. But the funny thing is, and I heard this story firsthand from somebody, when Captain America punched Hitler on the comic, it was World War II propaganda. It wasn't fascism. It wasn't Antifa bullshit. It wasn't all this other crap that they come up with. Let's skip to the end of the dime store novel. It was comics. You wanted to buy a comic of Captain America punching the Nazis, Shazam, Captain Marvel dragging Tojo across the ground, and he's holding his his hand on his butt because he's getting hurt, or you wanted to see Nazi planes being shot down by the Blackhawks, or on and on and on, because it was propaganda. We've done things like tie yellow ribbons around trees. We've donated metal to scrap yards for the war effort. We've eaten vegetables a couple of times a week rather than meat every night. And there was food rationing and gas rationing. That's patriotism. That's where comics came in, and that's where the artist started and finished his work. That's the hill that he died on. And when you look at all of everybody's explanations, I don't have a time machine. I can't go back to the 1940s and tell you why that was ordered by the editor to draw for the cover. But I do know that they sold thousands of issues because it was there. And I guess, in all honesty, capitalism, that's it. I mean, you make a goddamn good book cover, it's going to sell a goddamn good book. Right. I mean, that's it. And I want to see Captain America punch Hitler. I want to see Superman fighting the Nazis and the Japateurs and on and on and on and on, because that was appropriate for the time.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, ultimately, at the end of the day, comics, movies, whatever, it's about escapism. And even when we were talking earlier in the show about sports, it's like I watch a sporting event, man, because I want 3 hours of my life where I'm not dealing with everything else that's out there. But then they drag out some political message. I don't care what MLB stance is on anything that's going on. Like, I will deal with all of that shit out in the world the other 21 hours of my day, but for 3 hours, man, I just want to watch a ball game and just not think about anything going on in my personal life, external life. Same with reading a book, right? We know that nothing is perfect out there. We get it. Like, there's not one person on the planet that goes, "Hey, we could really use some more racism out there." Like, I think everybody's everybody's pretty much on the same page there. We don't need to keep banging that drum over and over and over. And in doing so, I mean, what are we doing? We're just talking about it, but we're not actually coming up with any solutions to it.
Well, there is no solution. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There is no solution, because when you get 50 people in a room, each one has a different opinion, and some of them might cross over like streets on a map. Others might be completely opposed. And the older that they get and they have kids, and then they're the same people that are in the 50 people in a room, nobody is going to get together. The funny thing is, anybody that knows me knows that I'm Joe red, white, and blue. Like I bleed red, white, and blue. I'm very patriotic. I love this country. I love the flag. I do not like disrespect of any other country, and I don't like disrespect of anybody's flag. Everyone should be patriotic of their home country and the country that they live in, even if it's not the same thing. I'm Irish. I live in the United States. I have a flag of each country in my house. I love the United States. I wear red, white, and blue all the time, literally all the time.
Nice.
And you know what? I'm tired of people saying and doing bad things against the flag. I think it's terrible. It's not just a piece of fabric to some people. And changing the flag, burning the flag, spitting on the flag doesn't make the flag represent anything better. It doesn't make the country better. It doesn't make the people better. When comics brought out things like, what they call racial stuff on the cover, punching Hitler, or the way that black people, or the way that Asian people were portrayed on the covers or in the stories, that was appropriate for the time. And now we have matured, and there has been an evolution in our entertainment industries, and we've gone far enough to where we can say we won't do that again. It doesn't mean that what we did was bad, because, like I tell a lot of people, I didn't commit the crimes that you're going after my race for. Like it's bad to be a white person, and on and on and on. That's the new thing in the market. I didn't commit the crimes that you don't like. I'm sorry to say. I enjoy comics. If comics had racism in the past, or if there were problems with comics in the past, that's part of the maturity process. That's just the way it is. Every bodybuilder today, every professional wrestler, every superhero, every cop, every firefighter today had acne at one time when they were a teenager. It's unsightly, but guess what? It's part of the maturity process.
And your opinions change, right, as you get older, right? I'm not.
Right.
None of us here are the same person we were 10 years ago, right? You learn something, or you change.
Thank God.
Right.
Thank God.
Exactly.
10 years ago, I wasn't as pretty.
Physically.
Right,
Yeah, physically.
right.
Right.
But no, that just I wanted to say this earlier too, with the whole cancel culture thing. It's like some of the people they're going after are these athletes that are like in their like early to mid 20s, and they're going after tweets from when they were like 15. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You don't want to see what I said when I was 15?
You said dumb shit. And we will say, when you get older, you say dumb shit, right?
Yeah. Right.
That makes me cringe.
Right. It does. Me too. And let's put into perspective something that recently happened, without going too far, so you could disconnect me at any time here. But the athlete that she was at the games, and she turned her back on the flag, and when they played the national anthem recently, I don't remember the name, so I apologize.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name either. Yeah.
And with the hammer thrower, I can't think of her name. Okay. She wants to protest. Fine. When the event is over with, go protest. Make a video, go march in the street, go do whatever the hell you want. But the country supported you to be an athlete, to represent your nation. You get out there, you have respect, and then when you get off the field, you do whatever you want. That's called being professional. When she did that, she took away the attention from the first place and the second place athlete. And this was a female hammer thrower. When the lady who was the first place, she broke 2 world records by getting the gold medal. And the thing is that there's a right time and a wrong time to do something. When you do it at the right time, you should be hailed as a hero, a revolutionary, whatever. But when you do it at the wrong time, regardless of what your intentions is, you're always going to be known as an enemy. So people are obviously going to come down on her. If she doesn't like the national anthem, she shouldn't have been on the team representing the country. I mean, I'm sorry. There was a video that came out afterwards because, you know, there's always the video. And then when you peel that away, there's hundreds of other videos that they use as like evidence against or for. And it was the runner, was it Usain Bolt? And he's not from the United States. He was a runner for, I think it was the Jamaican team.
Jamaica, yeah.
Right. And they were doing an interview with him and the national anthem for America started playing, and he told the interviewer to hold on, and he turned towards the flag and showed respect.
Yeah.
You know, I respect other nations. I respect other people. I would be quiet during their national anthem. Many times in my travels, I've met people on the road for wrestling, and I've had to do things like partake in Jewish ceremonies, partake in Buddhist ceremonies. I've gone to gospel churches and prayed right alongside with those people. I've helped change tires of complete strangers stranded on the road, helped dug out people's front porches and walkways, so countless many times. I didn't think of the differences. I thought of the things that we shared. And it blows my mind that, you know, that people find these bad things to talk about when there's so many good things to talk about. You know, you plant a garden, there's one weed. You can complain about that one weed all day, or you can talk about the nice garden that you have. You know, it's just that way. I get really annoyed with people these days. That's kind of the reason why I never go anywhere. Or never
Same
do
here,
anything.
brother. I'm with you.
I
Same
just
here.
hate it.
Yeah,
I love doing shows, and I love meeting people, and I love shaking hands and hugging. I love doing the funny pictures. People always ask me, you know, can you pretend to bite my arm or bite my ear or stuff like that? All the horror people wanting to, you know, I went to a convention one time and they spilled like red, like fake blood across both of us, and we were taking pictures, and, you know, the whole dumb thing. And whatever it is that they want, I give them, because to me, that's appreciation. That's love for the fan. I can't see anything negative.
Right.
I just can't, you know. Complaining is a waste of breath, and I don't have that many left.
That's it. You got to pick your fights. We're gonna bookend this thing with. We want to go back to your campaign too here. So we want to make sure we cover some more of this and talk about this.
Old thing.
What's old is new again. So let's bring this back up. And for people that might have jumped in the show a little late, we want to make sure they get this too. So I want to take a look at this thing. So I'm pretty excited about it. My son is excited. I shared it with the kids today, actually, and they were like, "Yes, get that, Dad." So
I haven't told my son yet. I'm going to surprise my kid. Side story too. So before COVID hit, so I bought tickets. They had the Jurassic World live tour.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know. COVID hit. So
right, well, I did the video. I watched the video thing that was online.
Oh yeah, same. So I was so excited. I bought front row tickets. We were going to be right up front. I was so excited, and then COVID hit, and they canceled the whole thing. And my son was so into dinosaurs. He's watched the whole animated Netflix show, the Jurassic World animated show. There's like 3 seasons now. So he's going to love these things. So
what got you interested, Rusty, in doing a dinosaur card set out of all things you could have done?
It's a couple of years in the making. The first set that I did back, in other words, because I had done books for years. First set that I did back was based on my Mac and Trouble characters, and that sold really well. Then the second set I did was based on them with Golden Age covers. We actually took Golden Age comic book covers, like the Golden Age Daredevil, Target, on and on and on, My Teenage Romance, all those old books. And what we did was we myself and Dan Gorman, comic book artist, who's incredible artist, what we did was we altered the comic book covers to include Mac and Trouble. So there's this one card where it's got like two people kissing on a rooftop, and a woman is peeking around the doorway watching them. And that's the romance type book, like, oh my God, my boyfriend is kissing another girl, blah blah blah. we took the girl out and put the cats there, so they're watching them instead. Then there's another one where Aladdin is fighting some palace guards. We took out the palace guard on the side, and Mac and Trouble are using swords and fighting the palace guards. So that sold really well. Then I came up with the dinosaur thing, the whole theme, and at first it was all art. That was it. I had already done dinosaur sets for Upper Deck and Bragent, and even though both of those companies and their art directors are great people, I thought I could do something a little bit more interesting. So I started playing around with the art. Then I said, you know what? I got to do something else. I got the itch, It's going to go on the shelf for a little bit. I did the Wizard of Oz set. That was extraordinary. That one went like 500%.
Wow.
Then I went back to the dinosaur set, and I said, you know what? The art part is out. I got to think of something else. So I started fooling around with some other stuff. I got the itch again. So I did the pulp set. Pulp set went like almost 800% over. So I'm like, great. That's great. Now I got to do the dinosaur set. I spent a whole year extra working on this. So this is about 2-3 years in the making. And like I said before, I don't want to get repetitive. What I said before was the way I thought it would work. Not just art, not just skeletons and museum things, actually the exhibits. And I started working with agencies and came up with what I consider to be like 50 perfect pictures. And they're going to be adorning the cards and on and on and on. One thing that I didn't mention before, which I think is kind of cool, is in the campaign, there's free digital cards. So if you go up to the campaign and you hit the updates section, there's literally 26 digital cards that are free. You can download them. You have to go to a little bit further towards the bottom. Like if you scroll down, it'll say, do you want to look at more or whatever?
Yeah.
If you click that, it starts there and it just goes. Because there's been a lot of updates. See, there you go. There's 4.
Nice.
And what it is each artist did a minimum of 3 cards, a maximum, a couple of them did 50 cards. We took one of their best cards and turned it into a digital card. So people can actually download and collect and trade the digitals too. And we added, if you go down a little bit further, there's a lot more that we added puzzles.
Oh, very cool. They'll be doing that tomorrow. That's what my kids are doing tomorrow, right there.
Oh, my son is obsessed with word puzzles. So
you can download that. There's also a coloring page.
Oh, perfect.
That's there, and then another coloring page is going up this weekend, and there's a ton more. I think you have to click the little thing like, do you want to look at more? And I don't know why they do that.
Yes, we do.
But they're all there. They're all there. You can see them. There's 26 artists, and then there'll be more this weekend as well as interviews showing additional artwork of theirs will be posted. And we do a lot of social media. I would say the campaign, literally, the plasma of the campaign is the social media. So there's Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. Then we have, MeWe, Parler, Tumblr, and a couple of others that we do. Imager is another one. Pinterest. But we covered them all. Oh, there you go. There's a dinosaur maze.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man.
My kid. Thank you so much for entertaining my kids tomorrow, Rusty. That's
good. Listen, that's what it's for. And the funny thing is, a lot of these were giveaways at shows. And I tell this to a lot of artists, going back to what we were saying about teaching people at shows. I would make up these free flyers. That dinosaur maze has probably been given out maybe 20,000 times.
Wow, that's awesome.
I've given away, and all I do is just change the text at the bottom. That's all I do, is just change the text at the bottom. A couple of times it said the name of a show. A couple of times it was a link to the charity. Maybe it was the 501st Star Wars group, or maybe it was the Montreal X-Men, whatever it was. But it would be, a link at the bottom to help somebody out.
Is that your art, the dinosaur there? Is that your drawing?
Yeah, that's mine.
Nice.
I think that's also the artwork that's used for the hologram sticker too.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So,
yeah.
But the thing is that, we when I do the campaigns, I give a lot of stuff away. It's not just go to the campaign. Like I said before, this isn't a one and done. I give a lot of stuff away. People don't do this, and I don't know why. And I'm not running down people who don't do it, whether they choose to or they don't know about doing it. But I make up things like word puzzles, mazes, connect the dots. When I'm at shows, parents drag their kids to the show. I have McDonald's toys under the table to hand their little kids. I give them coloring pages. I'm like, hey, do you guys like cats? Oh, you're going to love this, and then I tell the parents, I say, when they're done coloring these pages, you email me or message me on Facebook, and I'll put it up on my page, and I'll turn them into a star for the day, and on and on and on. And you know what? I really enjoy the family aspect of it. So this dinosaur campaign, okay, maybe somebody can't contribute. Maybe, it isn't really all about money. Like Rio was saying before, it's not all about money. It's a passion. It's a heart play. If they can't contribute, I get it, but it doesn't mean that they can't enjoy the puzzle. Can't enjoy the free cards. And when the campaign is over with, I'll dump all this stuff all over social media. People will go on Twitter. During the COVID, I put up something like 30 or 40 coloring pages and maybe 100 puzzle pages. I actually took my Mac and Trouble coloring book and puzzle book, and it went from a $5 book to free. And I told people where they could download it and get free copies of it and entertain their kids. They're stuck at home. Here's a whole book that they can have. You don't have to meet me at a convention. And I actually talk to parents, and they're like, wow, this is so nice of you. And it's like, no, it's not nice. It's being courteous and respectful. And the people who forgot it need to relearn it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love it. Great idea. We're probably going to steal some pages out of your playbook for the next
Listen. The funny thing about it is, it's not a playbook. This was all popular stuff. Like that sticker right there. That's a coloring sticker for kids. They can color it. It's got a waxy coating to it. They can color it, stick it on something. Like I said, they're a star for the day.
Right.
It's not a playbook. This is all old stuff that was very popular in the 40s and 50s. And people were either advanced to the point where they don't do it anymore. Remember, not every advancement is a good one.
Right.
So people sometimes go past it, evolution, blah, 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 blah. And they'll mature past it. Well, we don't do the taste test anymore. Now we do, you can have the item for free. You just have to pay the postage, but the postage is double. So you're really buying the item, and we're really, cheating. We're tricking the fan, kind of thing. And then it'll go to something else, and it'll go to something else. Well, all these old ideas are new again, and they worked, and they were respectful towards the customer, because every time a vacuum salesman stuck his foot in the door and threw a glob of dirt on the floor and said, hey, I can vacuum that up for you, and showed the way the vacuum worked, the housewife loved the idea that a man was vacuuming her floors back in the 50s. And guess who bought the vacuum cleaner? It wasn't the guy who went to the vacuum store. It was the housewives who were buying them all the time.
Yeah.
It was, what would you do? What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Honestly, I relate it to when I was a kid, and we used to go to Florida and go to these baseball camps and like training camp before 9/11, where you could just roam around and talk to baseball players. And I remember
It's
the
beautiful.
players that would
really is.
sign every single fan's autograph, right? So like Jeff Bagwell on the Astros, for example, he was one of the biggest players in Major League Baseball at the time. He would go down 1,000 fans and sign every single one of them. And I remember that as a kid, like, you know, like that's what I would do if I was famous. You give back, you know, you're a millionaire. You give back to the people that
But you don't know,
idolize you.
You don't know that. If you get too big.
No,
too
I would never.
many
I mean, that's
people.
just not my mindset. Like, I would never like Joel and I talk about. Like, Joel actually came up with the idea. Like, he writes letters to kids and mails them stuff through Livid.
That's
You know,
fantastic. Yeah.
like draws them sketches. Like that's the way we want to be. You know, that's what we
Anytime
need to bring
somebody
back.
brings up a book to me at a convention, I do a sketch. I don't care. People want to give me something. And you know, when I was wrestling, I used to stand at the back door and sign people's programs for free. I didn't
awesome.
care. I was a big deal for the local circuits at the time. And I miss those days because they were a little bit more honest than today. Not to take anything away from anybody, but you know, it was a little bit more honest. But the thing is that like when I go to shows, I give away free trading cards. I sign them. I give the puzzles and the toys to the kids. I have a dish of candy on the table. I always stand up and greet somebody. There is a not on purpose, but there is a kind of a lack of respect. And I think that, you know, people don't get it. But when they were a fan and they were going to a show, they appreciated the free pencil, the free keychain, the free sketch, the shaking of the hands. Oh my God, I talked to Neil Adams. Oh my God, I talked to
It's a freaking handshake. Like a handshake is huge to a fan. Like if they
Right.
idolize you, you know, like when I was a kid and I would go to wrestling, like I would sit, you know, if we got really good seats and someone just high-fived me when they walked by, like I remember that now in my 30s, you know, like that's just
Yeah.
it's something so simple. So
Yeah.
sorry.
No worries. Yeah, I'm going to start having to wrap it because my battery's dying. So
My headset's dying anyways. It's getting fuzzy. I can't hear a
Yeah,
lot of
I
what...
was going to say, I heard the fuzziness about.
Oh, shoot. You can hear that? Oh.
Yeah, about 10 minutes ago, I started hearing the fuzziness, and I
They're
thought,
on to us, man.
it's like, oh my
It was
God,
headset.
is the cat chewing my cord? You know?
Yeah, they're on to us. That's they're tapping in. So we talk too much about cancel culture. We got on someone's radar. So. Right. No good. Yeah. So let's wrap this thing.
So guys, before we go off, so I think that it would be nice to have final words from each of one here. What do you think?
Sure, we can do that.
I'm going to mute myself because it's definitely my headset because as soon as I muted, I didn't hear the static. So.
My final word is, thank God John is muting himself.
Yeah, so I'll take the lead. I'll say the final word. So, guys, you know, a lot of you guys know is that our campaign ended today. So we want to thank everybody that helped us and support us with that. It absolutely blew away our expectations. We always thought when we started Yule and Livid, we're like, John and I were like, we'll sell $30. Great, it'll be cool. Like we did this because we wanted to do it, and we said if we can make enough money to do one, great. If we can make money to do two, awesome. And there definitely is going to be a number 2 and dead ball, so that's cool. So I have the banner running at the bottom, so we were able to raise $339 on Kickstarter. Yeah, it was fantastic, guys. So I can't thank our fan base enough. People shared, liked, commented. I mean, they just did a hell of a lot, probably more work than we did. You know, all the people that had us on their shows that welcomed us on, open arms, have been hugely supportive of that. I can't thank those guys enough. We want to give back too, so whatever we can do to help anybody else out, like we're doing with this campaign or any other campaigns, you know, hit us up, man. Like we're easy to deal with. We're open. We want everybody to succeed. There's enough water in the pool, right, for everybody, so we can definitely help that. So yeah, big tip of the hat to everybody that helped us with the campaign, man. That's awesome.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Joe. I'm second on the ladder.
But it wasn't me. It wasn't my headset. I think it was Joel.
Is it me?
Yeah, that was Joe. Yeah.
Well, here, let me
Yeah, it's Joel.
Oh,
It's not me.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. I can't hear it here. I can't hear it here. You know, you just can't get a good $15 headset on Amazon anymore. You just can't.
Newton, for God's sake.
I'll mute myself. Who's talking? Go ahead.
You go, Rogerio.
All right, guys, that's been a pleasure to be here. You know, like you are the true guys in the industry, and I hope that when you get big, you don't forget us, because sometimes that happens. And that's it. You know, there was another great program. It was a pleasure to have Rusty here, sharing a little bit of his history with us.
Thank you.
And I'm pledging people to back his projects, because I think every kid in the world would really love dinosaurs. Who doesn't? Maybe the meteors, but they're gone. And you are not a meteor, so back his project. And if you have a chance, back Hugh Turn on the last days, and
Yes.
also have a look on that ball that is coming really soon. Hopefully, we're gonna have that by September. All right.
Even if it's a black and white edition, which
Even if it's a black and white.
yeah,
edition. Yeah.
which
Thank
honestly might
you.
be just fine. So
Well, it was a pleasure to be here. See you on Friday.
all right. Yeah, these shows keep getting longer, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a good show. I don't think we're like just talking about nothing the whole time, you know? It feels like a good conversation. So yeah, I think you, Rusty, you and I met last night, and I said to you after we were off there, we should get you on the show. And like I said earlier, it just worked out. We humbly have booked out for most of through August with our shows. We never expected that. We're brand new here. We never expected to have people like knocking on our door to come on our show. So I told Joel, I was like, we need him on the show. He's for indie creators, like the wisdom you can give us, like that's huge. And selfishly for us too, right? But for people watching. So I thank you for that. And like Joel was saying, if anyone heard through the static there, he was thanking everyone that backed us on Yule. We were blown away. We had the backers before Kickstarter. We were worried we wouldn't even hit goal on Kickstarter. We hit it in 6 hours and then hit almost 400% by the end of the campaign. And it just every time we would see that thing jump up, we were just we loved every second of it.
Oh, it's a thrill, isn't it? Even if it's $1, it's a thrill.
Yeah, the $5 backers, who cares? Like,
right,
so
right.
It was a grind for 30 days, but I try to say to people, like, I say it's a grind, but I would do it all over again. Like, it was worth every second. We were on social media, like during our day jobs. Hopefully my boss isn't watching. We were pushing this thing, and we couldn't be any happier with the outcome. And it's launching us to be able to do the whole series, to do other titles, work with other artists such as Rogerio, and it's really helping our. We tell people this comic was coming out either way. We were going to pay for it out of our own pocket. We had passion with this. We wanted it printed no matter what. But this is helping Livid Comics become more than just Yule. We're trying to. The podcast was an accident. It just happened, and now here we are. But we want to expand our universe into more than just one comic book. So I thank everybody for that too. So that's where I'll end my rant.
Well, I guess I'm the tail of the dog, huh? You know what? I don't do anything for myself. I like doing things for other people. When I create something, it isn't just for me to enjoy, it's for everybody else to enjoy. And I enjoy people. So being an entertainer, whether it's been acting or wrestling, voice acting, I've been on the radio, on and on and on, comics and cards, whatever. I enjoy pushing my trade and making other people happy and having enjoyment. And it's nice to be among good friends. You guys are great guys. I hope you do incredibly successful with your future campaigns. And I hope one day maybe to do something with you guys. I would really enjoy that. I always tell people these campaigns are links to the fans. The distributors like Diamond, I'm sorry to say, that is my politics, but these distributors like Diamond basically turn their backs on the fans. They turn their backs on the stores, and they created an unstable and ineffective marketplace. So having these campaigns gives us a direct lifeline to the fan. We make more profit. We have the ability of lowering our prices. Fans get the benefit of working directly with the publishers and the producers, and they will see our good work and our good fortune passed on to them. And I think that's I think that's the most important thing. So that's what I'm the most grateful for: is good fans, good friends, and good work. If it wasn't for the combination of the three, I wouldn't be in this business.
Yeah.
So
nicely put.
That's awesome, man. We're definitely appreciate your time tonight. Everybody listening, get yourself some Dino cards. I'm going to get Dino cards. My kids are going to get Dino cards. So,
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, that's definitely happening. So I'm going to roll
It did jump up. It jumped up a bit during our campaign. During
Awesome.
our interview. I hope that's from us, but we'll take credit either way. So,
Rusty, you've been awesome. Let's definitely reconnect. We can have you on towards the end of the campaign too, and check into
anytime.
You're awesome, brother.
Anytime.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night. Thank everybody for joining. We'll be back Friday with Ozzy Longoria and his campaign. So be sure to check us out 9 o'clock on Friday night Eastern Time. Thanks again for tuning in to Livid Comics Lair. Stay livid, everyone.